That was horrible. I just dug this crazy thing out of a pit, and I've done it before like 3 times.
Derek, you filled your yard with nothing but holes, and I know you found a treasure map in that box of Captain Crunch earlier this week. I don't think it actually leads to any treasure back there.
Okay, but can I walk you through a scenario?
Okay, yeah, go.
Digging so many holes in my backyard.
Yeah, sure.
So
you do that, and I'm going to count how many there are over there.
Okay, I went to the grocery store, and I was walking down the aisle of cereals, and there was like generic brand Captain Crunch, and then there was oops, too many marshmallows, and there's oops, no marshmallows at all. And I was like,
oops,
okay.
I lost Captain Crunch.
And then I looked over, and the 2 boxes of Captain Crunch that were left, because it's a very popular cereal,
of course,
often sold out.
Everyone's fighting over them.
I mean,
brawls in the middle of the cereal aisle.
3 people died that day. So anyway, I look over, and 2 like skeletal hands come out from the middle of the 2 boxes and push the 2 boxes aside.
Whoa!
And there's a green light on the inside.
Some warlock coming through to offer you magic powers.
This pirate sticks his head out, and he's like, "Hey, I got something for you there, laddie."
He's like almost Mr. Krabs.
Well, almost. And
you saw the ghost of dead crabs.
I did, yeah. And I was like,
I have some treasure, me boy.
That's pretty good.
Hey, that's the one.
Hey, SpongeBob, me boy. Anyway, so he sticks his head out. He doesn't say any of that bullshit. And he's like, "Hey, come here, little boy." And I was like, "Why did you just talk like a pirate? And now you're talking like a pedophile."
Yeah, that was very scary the way you said that second part. You're also not a little boy.
Well, I might be. Anyway, I'm a little boy in my heart.
Okay.
I don't know. Anyway, so he's like, come here. He's a pirate again.
Yeah.
Come here, little boy.
So he was just a creep for that one line.
I got a present for you. And I was like, sick.
Yeah,
You know,
awesome.
like this one, a skeletal pirate talking to me in the grocery store.
Yeah.
Badass.
Kind of talks like Mr. Krabs.
Kind of sometimes, and like a pedophile sometimes. That's like,
That part's not so great.
yeah. Anyway, so I obviously take him up on his offer.
Yeah, of course.
Because he offers me limitless freedom.
Things
and
like this
bounty
don't
and-
come around often. Skeletons aren't coming from between cereal boxes at the grocery store. So, like,
very rarely.
you have to take this chance when it comes to you.
I would argue this never happens.
No.
And so
I would argue it probably never happened.
What? Are you saying I'm making this up? Are you
No,
saying
of course
I'm
not.
lying
Of
right
course
now?
not. No.
Obviously, this happened to me.
Continue with your story.
So he pulls out a little map, and he says, "Okay, sorry, at the bottom of this map, you'll see a place where you put the dotted line of your finger blood." And I said, "That makes no sense.
That makes
And
no
he says,
sense. Absolutely
Well,
not.
you sign it in your blood, you see."
Okay,
And
that
I
makes
said,
more sense.
Oh, okay. So obviously,
Did he have like a pirate translator for him? He's like, "Aye, this here be your blooded dotted line." He's like, "Well, that means he wants make a map with your blood."
Yeah, so when I
basically.
was Googling this later,
Yeah.
I found out that normally he travels with his undead lawyer.
Okay,
But
yeah.
his undead lawyer was actually called away on layaway because he lost 3 of his legs. So,
he was called away on leg away.
nice. That was really good.
3 of his legs.
He was eating Eggos because they just wouldn't let go.
Eggo my leg away.
They just wouldn't let go. So, wow, this is going nowhere. So he handed me this paper.
Yep.
I signed. I pulled out my pin that I keep with me to
Yes.
specifically poke my finger.
Right, exactly. We all carry one of those, our blood pen.
You
with
never
us.
know when you're going to need a blood pack.
I've been foolishly caught unawares without my blood pen
And
in
you
my
know
pocket.
the worst part about that? When you're caught unawares without your blood pin in your pocket.
What's that?
You're not caught red-handed because you can't produce blood.
Caught plain-handed, empty-handed, I guess.
feel
Where
like
is this going?
I don't know. Okay, so anyway, he's like, "Here at the bottom of this paper, you gotta fill it out." And
You
anyway,
still
so
haven't told me why there
I
are so many holes
I
in the
signed it.
yard.
It's coming. So then he showed me a map, and it was a map of my neighborhood. It was the
Yeah.
weirdest thing in the world. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
that's crazy. Why is there a map of my neighborhood?
Of course, yeah.
And he said, "Look ye in the back of where you live, and dig up a hole, and there be treasure."
A backyard is what he means to say.
Thank you, lawyer. And so anyway, then he took me into his hole, and the next
Now, Derek, I might want to translate what you just said.
and for the next 3 days, I was unconscious. But when I came to, I was feeling a little weird. Anyway, so I'm back now.
Yeah.
And I dug a lot of holes in the backyard.
So it sounds...
but what I did find.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were gonna.
No, you go. What's your...
It was a VHS copy of the movie The Gate.
Oh, from 1987. That's right. Yeah, I saw you come up out of the hole where there used to be a tree. There was a tree there, and it fell over. Then you hopped up out of there with VHS copy of The Gate from 1987.
And I rushed to your house.
Yeah, because you don't have a VHS player.
No, or a VHS vehicle. And until I was running.
Very high-speed
running
vehicle for
high
all you
speed to
listeners
your
at
house.
home.
And I mean, everyone's seen Willy Wonka, I've got a golden ticket.
Yeah.
Gotta get home to see Santa Claus before the time runs out. What?
And all the townsfolk, run, boy, run home. Don't stop till you get there.
But as I was running, I swear I saw that pirate like 8 more times. And he'd reached out to me and he was like, I love you. And I was like, I love you too, I think. And
I love you, Derek. I always have.
Oh,
Look,
pirate.
Connects the dotted line with your blood. Look at that. It's a heart. And it's got me in it. It's got E in it.
It's just pirate or whatever. Why does pirate kind of look like
it's just
pedo?
like P and D. It's like, what's the P? Is your name Patricia? It'd be pirate.
Pirate. First name pirate, last name pirate.
Born to the breed. My parents were lawyers.
I did not follow in their steadfastness.
Imagine life worked like that, like a video game. Like you name your character a certain thing. It's like how you can do in Pokemon with EVs, right?
Yeah,
like if you
yeah,
give them a specific name, they'll evolve
Pokemon
a certain
Go.
way, right?
Yeah.
Same deal. You name your son Pirate, that's a bona fide pirate right there.
That's funny. I actually know someone who named their child Pirate. The cutest kid on the planet.
oh,
too,
really?
yeah.
And they get bullied mercilessly at
Well,
school.
no, because it's like.
But it's okay because they
they're
pull
a
out their
small
trusty
child.
cutlass and they'll swashbuckle all the bullies away.
buckle swash, yeah.
Buckle swashing. This has nothing to do with the movie that we're
Actually,
talking
why am I sitting here? Oh, right, because I'm Derek.
And I am Isaac, and we are both sitting here talking to this microphone, delaying the point. But we have a podcast called
What?
That Was Horrible.
Piratable.
There are no pirates in this movie.
No.
This is our non-pirate podcast
are
where we
zombies,
do our best
maybe.
at reviewing pirate movies, I guess.
Dude, that'd be sick. What if we just did that? There's not a lot of pirate movies.
I don't know. I feel like
I would argue that there's less pirate movies than zombie
I mean, we
movies.
said that when we started this podcast. We're like, surely there can't be that many lowly rated horror movies, and here we are with so many movies to
So
keep watching and
what if-
never-ending list of them.
What if we do a spin-off series called That Was Piratable, where we steal all the movies we watch?
So it's not just pirate movies.
It's
we're just
literally any
pirating
movie,
the
but we
movies.
only use uTorrent.
But then that one commercial's going to come get us, from the 2000s.
wouldn't steal a car.
download a car.
I would download a car. I would arguably download a car.
Ahoy,
I would
you wouldn't pirate a movie.
You wouldn't pirate me boat.
Can we talk about...
I just told a love story between me and a ghost pirate.
Yeah, it's kind of cool, though.
I miss him.
I ship the two of you guys together. Derek
You
and Pirate.
ship him.
Oh, my
You
God. I
ship it.
pirate ship the two of you
That's
guys.
adorable.
Oh,
Avast
Avast. That's a cannon off the portmanteau.
engaging.
I do not know enough about pirates to do like pirate content.
Stern poop deck.
But on the subject of pirates, there have been multiple pirating websites that have been taken down recently,
it's true.
and it's actually kind of sad because studios don't give it. Can I get a high horse here for a second?
Oh, I love the pirates. Wait, I'm trying to do a pirate high horse.
Pirate high horse Palomino.
Let me just find the first voice.
Yeah.
Wait, no. High horse Palomino. It's me. Pirate.
It's just if Scooby Doo was a pirate. That's the voice.
Reggie, I've got a big cutlass. Clink, 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 clink.
Oh.
Here's your box.
What's in? It's a treasure chest, and what's on the inside? Oh, it's a bunch of high horse Palomino snacks.
Yum, 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 yum.
We'll help you solve that mystery. Anyway,
The mystery of what your high horse
The
is.
point, yeah, here's the mystery. Ready for it? I'll spell it all out for you. No, what I was going to say is like pirating websites, as illegal as they may be, and if you're listening to this government, we've never pirated anything in our lives and never will. That's something that we will never be doing. Thank
I
you.
actually stopped doing that a long time ago.
Yeah, I
because
know
my
it's
internet
very
provider got
scary.
really mad at me, so
the
I stopped.
internet got mad. It yelled at us and got angry about stuff. But what's really sad about the fact that pirating websites are getting taken down is because with the ever growing like movies going to streaming sites and stuff, and then those streaming services like just taking them down whenever they want, whenever they feel like it, there's nowhere to find things anymore. And it's kind of scary. Like as a preservationist, like where are all these movies going? They just disappear. And there are so many movies that just don't exist anymore. Were it not for the sake of like, internet archives and pirating websites websites and stuff like that. So anyway, I know pirating is illegal and I'm not condoning it, but like it is also good for saving media because we should be doing that.
Yeah, definitely pay for things. Hey, so
But
like
also
the
you should
only
pay for
things I can
things.
think of are like Hook
Uh-huh.
and Treasure Island, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Just pirate movies?
I'm just like trying to think of other pirate movies. This list considers Goonies a pirate movie. I guess, yeah.
In other news, I heard there was a Goonies sequel movie announced
I also
recently.
heard about that.
I haven't heard much about that, but if you're into pirate movies or the Goonies, you can check that out.
I guess they're after Treasure.
Yeah. I would consider it like a pirate adjacent movie.
Is Goonies 2 going to be similar to It Chapter 2?
Oh,
where
how?
they're all adults and have
Thinking
an orgy?
back on their childhood. No. On the subject of the Goonies, though, this movie, The Gate from 1987, kind of had a little bit of Goonies vibes in it.
Dude, there were so many Goonies in this movie.
It was basically like, what were we saying? It was like adult Goonies, but
And
then children Evil
Evil
Dead.
Dead. Yeah.
The evil Goonies. The Goonie Dead.
So I found a movie called The Pirate Movie.
Just the pirate
And
movie.
it's got two naked people on the cover, so I don't know if we can
good.
watch it. But it's called it's got 9% on Rotten Tomatoes. So like,
Oh, shit.
obviously, it's probably not Caligula, but it's like probably the pirate movie. It's probably a good time.
Let's do that. Let's do
that
like
funny?
a Halloween.
Am I funny?
Yes, you're hilarious. Let's do a Halloween special where like our podcast wears a costume, and that is a pirate costume. Has anyone ever done something like that before, where like the show as a whole takes
on
on
a
a theme like a
costume.
costume?
That's so cute.
So this year our podcast is going to be a
Wait,
pirate for
I
Halloween.
actually like that idea.
That's not
We
a
could
terrible
each
idea.
Pick a theme to
That's
cover
not
our
bad.
episode,
Yeah.
and do a couple special.
and then
Okay.
we have to wear a costume.
We got to take this conversation off air because we can't promise anything. But I
No,
like
we can't.
that idea.
It's not a bad idea. Will we remember it in a couple of weeks? We'll see.
when we listen back to this episode
When
and go,
we listen.
Oh yeah,
I
That's how I
remember
talk.
when we were talking about pirates.
So anyway, how have you been? How you been the last couple weeks?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah.
You
You been watching any movies
dude,
lately?
oh man, I wish that I had. Honestly, like I've been so busy the last couple weeks. You
Life
know how
gets
sometimes
busy.
it just like you get really busy. You know how that happens.
There's no better way to put that. Just, you know how sometimes you get just busy?
Sometimes you just get busy.
Yeah,
And
sometimes
when
life
was
is
the
like
last
that.
time we saw everybody? So I talked about Mind, Body, Spirit last time. Oh
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
So since then, I've only watched Kinds of Kindness, which we can talk about that real quick.
Yeah. The new Yorgos Lanthimos, right?
Yeah, it was weird, man. It was. I didn't hate it.
Which is, I mean, to be expected from the man. He's definitely
Yeah.
not known as a normal guy. At least I would not say so.
It's basically three movies in one, and I would argue he should have written three different movies.
Really?
personally, I
a
think
bit
that
much to cram into one.
it was a lot, and I think that each of the ideas could have been done well separately.
Yeah.
The third act, the third movie, was arguably the most upsetting to watch. There's one scene in particular that I don't think should have even been filmed.
Yikes.
But that's just coming from someone who's dealt with like traumatic things in people's lives, in my own life, and
I see,
and
I
it's one of
see.
those like really triggering scenes.
Yeah,
that it just
definitely
didn't need to
can
be.
hit home for some people for sure.
But that being said, Willem Dafoe, so he
He's
is
a force of nature,
yeah,
always.
and we'll talk about him again when we talk about the other movie we saw. But
God bless Willem Dafoe.
someone's review on Letterboxd by NDC 32002 said, "Part 1 of this movie, Willem Dafoe. Part 2 of this movie, Willem Defriend. Part 3 of this movie, Willem Defreak." And it is so true because in the third part of this movie, he basically plays a cult leader.
Whoa.
And not really a spoiler, but there's this scene where they have a huge bathtub, like it's a swimming pool.
Yeah.
And they cry into it every day, him and his other cult leader.
Whoa.
And that is the only water members of the cults are allowed to drink. Is their tears. And so, like, watching Willem Dafoe, this beautiful, beautiful man, just like feed people his tears.
Here I come, Willem Dafoe.
that
Let's drink from my water, my cult member, please.
Lick my face.
Lick my face and drink my tear water.
No, but if you like weird movies, there's like an entire scene of like dogs pretending to be humans where they're like driving cars, and it made no sense. And still, like thinking back, I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Anyway, did you watch any movies?
Speaking of Willem Dafoe being a powerhouse, you and I checked out Beetlejuice.
Keep it
Now
real.
stop. Now stop. No third time there. We don't need to summon demons on this podcast.
Keep it real.
In particular. But you gotta keep it real,
Gotta
you
keep it
guys. And no one will really understand that unless you've seen the sequel to the first Beetlejuice movie that just recently came out.
Yeah.
Willem Dafoe is always just having the time of his life. And I think that is what makes him such a fun actor to watch. And pretty much everything he does, like he is just having a good time.
He takes every role so seriously. He's kind of like the antithesis of Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
Because maybe not antithesis, but he's like they're very similar.
They're kindred spirits,
Yeah,
the two of them.
They're similar. Where
they give them their whole selves to their roles.
I think the difference being Willem Dafoe nails every role he does. Nicolas Cage almost nails every role he does, right? You get what I mean,
Nicolas Cage
though.
nails roles that fit him as a person, and then like Willem Dafoe's really good at becoming like a chameleon of a man and being pretty much anything.
Yeah, he's incredible.
I love the
we,
man.
We could make an entire episode just about Willem Dafoe. Beetlejuice though. I'm mixed on my opinions.
Yeah.
I actually am pretty reserved about giving my opinion on the movie because I rated it 4 stars on Letterboxd, which kind of surprised me when I was making my review.
That was more than I was expecting. When you told me that, I was like, that's shooting kind of high.
It was a little high, but at the end of the day, I enjoyed watching Tim Burton and Danny Elfman put something on the screen that was them.
Yep.
Right? And I guess listening to Danny Elfman.
Yeah.
But also I enjoyed watching some of these actors again. Like I really enjoyed watching Catherine O'Hara.
Catherine O'Hara's wonderful.
And Winona Ryder and Willem Dafoe, obviously. Even though that one kind of came out of left field. I didn't really. And even Danny DeVito for the short period he's in that film.
Danny
I really
DeVito makes an
enjoyed him.
appearance. Wonderful guy. Wonderful time.
Charlie, I left it in the underworld.
Charlie, they throw me in the trash and now I'm in the underworld.
And that's pretty close. That's actually pretty accurate. Spoilers, I guess.
Those are just the noises that he makes all the time. I don't think they ask him to do that. He's just like they thought they told him they weren't rolling anymore. And he's like, "Oh, time to goggle myself again."
Have you ever seen that video of Danny DeVito describing how it is to eat an egg on set?
No.
So he was in a play where he was playing like this really gross person. It was on Broadway, and he had to eat an entire boiled egg
Just like in one go.
for like comedic effect, or like I think it was actually supposed to be like threatening.
Okay.
It wasn't supposed to be funny.
Me trying to threaten you walks up, swallows a whole hard-boiled egg.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mess with someone who did that, honestly. If someone walked up to me and said, whoop, and like
And
what
it's just gone.
What a power move. Like I am underneath you, whatever's happening here.
I totally picture this moment though. You're walking down the streets of New York. It has to be New York.
Of course, it's always New York.
And some guy walks up to you.
either
and you're
New York or
Hey,
Florida."
buddy, get away from me. You know, you're obviously a vicious man who's trying to cause conflict everywhere.
Yeah, of course.
And he just like pulls out this big ass hard boiled egg.
Oh, so he pulls out the egg.
Yeah, and swallows it. And you're like, sorry. But
I'm so sorry. I was in
then,
your way.
As he's walking away, you realize I've seen that man before.
Oh, who was it?
Oh shit, that's David Blaine. And then you look down, and as he's walking away, the hard boiled egg was palmed in his hand.
Oh my God.
And it was a magic trick.
Open up your hand. There's the hard-boiled egg.
And then you
I got
feel-
mind freaked.
Then you feel behind your ear, and there's another hard-boiled egg back
But
there.
it was like kind of smushed back there.
Yeah,
so
and
you
it
got
was
mushy egg.
It was a
in
little
your-
gross.
You got mushy egg in your hair. But I kind of like the thought of like you carrying around like a bag of hard-boiled eggs. Like it's on like some kind of like utility belt almost.
yeah.
And someone comes and tries to step to you, right? Like this dude's like walking your way. He's like, hey man, get out of my way. No words are spoken. You just like one hand reach into your utility belt. But you got to be a badass about it. You
Yeah.
have to like flick it open. Like it's like cover. What am I trying to say? Like locked in there, like it's a gun. You clip it off, pull out an egg.
But then I love the idea that the person who's like getting eaten in front of.
Yeah.
That
Yes.
was the sentence.
I know what you're saying.
And they're like, "Oh no, please don't eat the egg. No."
And so
don't."
now we're at a crossroads. It's like, what do we do? Like, what is the most intimidating way you can do this? Is it just like one hand slam it into your face, or do you like toss it up into the air, catch it in your mouth?
I would
Like-
argue the savoring of it is the scariest part.
Oh God! What about like slow, like an
4
anaconda,
bites.
like swallowing like a bigger prey, just
and then you
slowly
watch it just go down someone's throat.
Oh God! You see the egg kind of wiggling back.
That's disgusting.
That's nasty.
That's vile.
But also very intimidating.
Very intimidating. You know, I love the idea of like someone who's prepared with all of these eggs.
Yes,
but it's
no,
been
they have a-
weeks.
So they're rancid?
So they're rancid, and then finally the moment comes. They were like. In the morning, they wake up. I need to boil more eggs today. I need
Today's
to
the day I'm
egg."
going to boil more eggs.
But
These
they
ones are getting
don't,
bad
because they
It was
they
the
run out
one
of
day.
and then someone steps up and they're like, "Wait, are you really? Yeah, what's up, boy? Give me your wallet." Oh shit, wait. but these are all rotten.
Tears streaming down your face. You pull out like this green egg.
He's like, "Oh my God, what are you doing?"
You just have to force yourself.
And then I love the idea you swallow the egg and you're like, are you scared? And the guy just stabs you and walks away.
And then you just throw up on it.
All right, well, that's enough egg talk.
Yeah, that's enough egg talk.
Welcome to Egg Talk with Derek and Isaac.
We're the egg boys. We love Lego my egg.
You know what's funny? I have a weird fear of hard-boiled eggs. This is not a joke. What? This is not a joke. I actually have like this weird phobia about them. I will pretty much only eat scrambled eggs.
I'm gonna show up to your house dressed as an egg and be like, "Ooh,
I will
scary.
I will be impressed.
I'm
because
hard-boiled."
Oh my God, look at me so hard right now.
And then I'll do a whole
Anyway,
tap dancing number.
Well, that's just a musical. Okay, no, listen.
Yeah.
This is real.
Yeah, no, I believe
Because
you.
I
don't know why, but
there's just something about like an egg that you peel, and then all of a sudden you just got this like hard mass, and it's
it
just
is
like,
weird that you take out its hard shell and it's the same shape on the inside, but it's fleshy.
if you peel me,
Yeah.
am I
Is
the
there a
same
soft-
shape? Do I have a yummy, ruddy, yolky center, or am I overcooked and a little green on the inside? What is going on? Deep
This
in
is the
me?
new way to see like the
God.
truth. Screw like
Fuck,
star signs and all that kind of
I'm
shit.
messed
It's like,
up, man.
What's at your center? What is
Oh.
the egg of you?
I think I'm a little undercooked,
Oh, really?
and I'm like my white is still a little runny. No, I'm so overcooked. I'm starting to turn brown. Like my egg.
At least you're not
my
turning
egg white
green.
is turning gross.
I like how you said that's enough egg talk, and we're still talking about eggs.
Anyway,
Aren't you excited to talk about this movie, The Gate?
well, yeah, but real quick, did you want to say anything more about Beetlejuice? It is really hard. I actually do recommend people go see it, especially if
Yeah.
you're fans of the original.
I've gotten up on my soapbox several times on this podcast about how I feel about when they make sequels to movies. Like, it's a scary thing, but especially when they make sequels to things that are revered as very good things, very iconic, from years prior. I always hate when they lean into the nostalgia of it, and that's all it takes to make the movie and to sell tickets.
This movie didn't do that.
No, that's the thing. I was like, I think they did a pretty good job. Like, I don't think it succeeds the original in any capacity, but I do think it is a movie that doesn't make me hate the original anymore, because that's something bad sequels can and do.
Very often.
It really happens.
You said dude.
I knew. I tried not to. God damn it.
All right.
But yeah, so it was a good time. Too many subplots for me.
Oh, my
it was a
God.
bit of a mess there. It's like
It was a mess.
it happens in movies when you add too much stuff in the pot. Then like none of it is going to be cooked well enough.
And I've considered dropping my
Like an
rating
egg.
down a little bit, specifically because of all the subplots.
Yeah.
And how three of them went just nowhere.
Crammed in there.
But at the same time, I did enjoy the movie, and I honestly would see it again. Like, it's not a lot. It's not something I can say for most movies.
Yeah,
so.
exactly.
All right,
What's the
then.
gate? Let's open this gate into this, shall we? What's in
I
there?
was just looking in.
It's just nothing. It's just a gate into a lovely field, Derek. Look at this. Derek's afraid of.
Sorry, there's like 4 eggs in there. I know it. I can feel it.
That's the scariest part about being afraid of hard-boiled eggs is they're small. They could be anywhere.
Well,
Derek,
also,
what's that behind your ear, Derek? It's a hard-boiled
Don't pretend.
egg.
Don't pretend. What if that egg has a spider in it? You don't know. There might be.
You know what? You're right. I do not know.
There's literally no way you could know. Because what if? No, hear me out.
I'm
Come
listening.
closer,
I'm
come
listening.
closer.
What's up?
Okay, audience, come here.
Come on in.
What if, when the egg was born, right? Because it comes out of the cloaca of the chicken. What if it's sitting there and a little spider gets in and lays its eggs in there? You don't know. There's literally no way you could know.
Now, are we saying like a hybrid, like spider
No.
bird creature thing?
That's cool. That's not what I mean though, because that's just cool.
That's just cool. No, this is
though,
scary.
Then you boil that egg, and then when you crack it open, you're like,
yeah.
oh, this is a normal hard-boiled egg. But then
Sure,
you
yeah.
take a bite, and there's just
bunch
a
of
million
spiders,
just
all
in
out
there.
of your mouth.
Well, they're probably all dead.
Probably.
But that's terrifying.
Yeah, I wouldn't make it any better if they were dead either.
No, it'd be horrible.
Biting
either
into
way.
a bunch of dead spiders.
I'm not okay with that.
So enjoy your nightmares tonight,
Well-
everyone listening at home.
Didn't put a content warning for that one.
No. Derek, you got some info to tell me about The Gate
I
from
actually have a lot.
1987. We got this is a movie we actually have to talk about. Usually we bullshit a lot around movies that there is nothing to say about, but
This movie was great. I mean, it was a movie.
it was a movie. Yeah, who knows how it was. Derek, drop a beat. Drop that info for me.
That's stupid. I can't rap. You know, there's nothing cringier than two white boys trying to rap something,
Yeah, you're right. I feel shame.
and no need.
I feel shame, and there's no one else to blame.
I wish I never came. Do you feel the same? Okay, I'll keep it.
Remove my name from this podcast.
But then what about the fame?
This
Same.
is just a game to you.
That was a little lame.
That's nothing. Oh my god. Tell me about the movie, The Gate, 1987, because we said nothing about it so far.
This movie was written by. Oh God, I closed it out because you were rapping. This movie was written by Michael Nankin, not to be confused with My Napkin, and
Michael Napkin.
and directed by Tibor Takis, not to be confused with Took My Tic Tacs.
Kick my tuchus.
Let's talk about Tibor first.
Sure.
He hasn't done a lot of things I've ever seen. He did have a movie called Spiders from 2013, so I probably won't be checking that one
It's
out.
a sign.
Oh my God, he has a movie called Hard-Boiled Egg Spider Attack. That's just like, what a weird coincidence.
Attack of the hard-boiled egg spiders, and then the sequel, Attack of the giant hard-boiled egg spiders.
And then the sequel
are the
to that,
eggs giant
even
or are the spiders?
bigger hard-boiled egg spiders.
And the subtitle's like, "There's no way they could get any bigger."
You know, one of my favorite bits I'm so sorry, I'm talking about Family Guy, but you know one of my favorite bits about that they do in Family Guy?
What's that?
Is Peter's like, I submitted a movie to the movie company called Bigger Jaws, and it's literally just like Jaws. And they're like, okay, so like normal Jaws is happening, and they're like, oh my God, look, it's Bigger Jaws, and then they team up to fight Bigger Jaws, and he's like, common enemy, and it's like, what? It's really funny.
So is that what happens in this one? Then it's like the protagonist teams up with the hard-boiled egg spiders to fight the bigger hard-boiled egg spiders.
It's like in Godzilla versus King Kong.
That's fair. Yeah, they got to team up together to fight the common enemy. Of course, this all comes together.
Common enemy, and then like even bigger Jaws is a thing.
Even.
So he's directed a few episodes of different things that I have seen, like not Mosquito Man. I don't know what Mosquito Man is, but I don't think I want to see it. Once Upon a Christmas, you saw that. Sabrina.
Sure.
No, but he did like, God, I keep clicking on the wrong things because you keep talking about eggs and it's screwing me up.
I'm done with the egg talk.
Teenage Witch.
Swallow this egg.
And The Outer Limits are things that he directed episodes of. But that's kind of it. It looks
so
like
mostly TV.
I'm actually surprised we haven't run into him already because some of the movies on his directing list are movies that are on my list of movies for this podcast.
So we will be seeing more of this. What was his name?
Tic Tacs.
Tibor.
Took My Tic Tacs.
Took my Tic Tacs.
Anyway, so My Napkin, or Michael Nankin, he's actually kind of in the same boat too. He wrote a few episodes of the Exorcist TV show that came out a few years ago, and actually he's an executive producer of the Van Helsing TV show.
Oh, neat.
But as far as like things that are famous, other than that, nothing.
Nothing too big.
But this movie actually won 2 things and was nominated for 2 other things.
Oh, okay.
Believe it or not. So the best performance by a young kid actor was in 1988. He was nominated for that. Stephen Dorff, who played the lead boy.
Okay. Playing Glenn in this movie.
Good old Glenn. Glenn. Dude, what is going on? I'm good. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine. Your brain's scrambled like an egg.
You're right. Oh my God. It won Best Young Actress in a Horror Motion Picture in 1988 for Krista Denton, who played Al, which I kept reading in the subtitles as AI.
AI, yeah.
Okay.
Like a capital A and a lowercase L keeps looking like AI.
AI. Yeah, it's ruining my life.
Which we do not support here.
True. And then Andres Hamori and John Kennedy won the Genie Award, Golden Reel Award in 1988. Don't know what that
I don't
is
even know
all
what that's
entailing,
for, yeah.
but kind of cool. And then Stephen Dorff also was nominated again. So he was nominated twice for Best Actor, but
didn't win any of them, though.
Didn't win either
but
of them.
Just to be nominated is an honor, really.
No one has ever said that and believed it. So,
everyone who said that is a liar.
Everyone who said that literally.
There are no humble people on earth.
So something else I want to mention. So the special effects in this movie
stood out for sure.
Were incredible.
They were what pulled me to the movie because this one was my choice for this week. And of course, I'm always a sucker for whatever movie, typically from like the 70s, 80s, 90s, has weird looking gore, goop, special effects, creature, monster, whatever. So that's why I was here for this movie.
Yeah. And it should be noted that Randall William Cook was in charge of the special effects department. So he did all the stop motion animation. All of the suits were worked on by him. He actually went on to work on King Kong, and he was one of the winners for the 3 Oscars that the special effects teams won for Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. So Percy Jackson, Peter Jackson. If Peter Jackson,
Percy Jackson's
if
Lord
Peter
of the
Jackson
Rings
had like a Greek god that he was the demigod, that he was the son of, who would it be? Is there a Greek god of film? I know nothing. I know not enough about.
Well, I felt those crickets. I felt them.
What crickets? You can't hear the crickets.
Chirp, 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 chirp.
I was gonna say this is typically where Derek will edit in crickets, but
I'm
who
not
needs
doing
them
it now because I did chirp, 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 chirp. So this movie.
Terrible. Peter Jackson's movies, yes.
Yeah. So it's like super cool though. And it really actually like when we found that out while watching the movie,
It shows.
It really made sense because there's a lot of use of forced perspective in this, which as you know was used for the Hobbits and Gandalf.
And he was one of like the leading like designers of what brought like the design of Gollum to life too.
Yeah. Super dope, dude. Super dope. This movie
Kinda
had
tubular.
This movie had a $6 million budget and made $13.5 million, which
good
did
amount.
greenlight and create a sequel.
Which
So,
I don't. Did you look much into
I
the
did
sequel
not
at
look into
all?
the sequel at all.
I know that
Should've.
there's at least one
job.
character that reprises their role in it, but like I don't know much about it.
Not
It's
me
probably worse than this one, I would assume.
I've heard that it's titled The Gate 2.
The Gate 2,
Really
I know it
creative,
was like it had been made and filmed and like shelved for like 3 years before it finally like was released.
You know, going back to Beetlejuice,
Yeah.
apparently that movie was greenlit in like 1989.
Really?
And then like basically sat in limbo for a long time.
It's crazy how that can happen with movies.
So like I wonder how many of those like random plot lines were either added or like taken out, and then they were like, no, let's just throw them all
I
in.
feel like that's kind of a problem, huh? If you have a movie sitting around for so long
Yeah,
and like
so
in
many people have
development,
different ideas.
Hell, right, exactly. There's too many cooks in the kitchen, too many hands on that pot, on that gumbo.
IMDb has this movie sitting at a 6. Letterboxd is at a 3.2. Rotten Tomatoes is a 36 for the critics and a 45 for the audience.
Not bad.
Yeah,
It's,
man.
like, it's higher for most of our movies, right? We typically
Little
sit,
bit.
like it's closer to the 40s range.
It felt worthy though.
No, absolutely.
I don't know. You know, it was a movie that we watched. What are you drinking?
I was just about to ask you what we're drinking because I feel like you're gatekeeping what's in my drink in my hand. Yuck, 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 yuck. Bilbo bartender, is that you? I can't see through the haze and the smoke around you. What's happening?
Bilbo.
You doing good there, buddy, old pal? Bilbo, what's happening?
I got my medical marijuana card, and I'm good.
You were already a pretty chill guy. Like you were already at like half speed, and now you're at like 0.25% speed.
I work at the DMV now.
Oh, okay.
part-time.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure people love that. Yeah, they love the slower. Can you tell me what's Bilbo? Hey, Bill, can you tell me what's in the drink
Hold on. Oh, right. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Bilbo bartender. I'm ready. Oh, okay, yes. Today I killed 7 children and put them in a drink.
Whoa, okay,
Bye.
okay.
What the fuck? Subi twist.
That's all that's in it?
I think I watched him mix a strawberry daiquiri, some Fireball, which was super weird, and a cherry with some lime and some sort of spritzer. And then he made a funny joke about how it's called the gate drink because there's a bunch of ice at the top that's all crushed up, and you have to get through that in order to drink
to
it.
break through the gate in order to get there.
And then you have like a little cherry sacrifice on top. It's actually a really clever drink.
Okay.
Unfortunately, this has a drug problem.
Derek patting himself on the back. Yeah, that's a really great idea.
It's like a
kind of a genius creation.
I don't know.
One of the greatest minds in America.
I mean, I didn't make it.
No, of
like
course
whoever
not.
did. Bilbo. Sorry, Bilbo made it.
In a sense, you
But,
did
like-
make it because Bilbo possesses your mortal body.
Does that mean
to
that
make you
whatever
become-
he puts in his body, I think he just did a line of cocaine.
That's true. You seem fine. You're okay. I mean, it evens out, right? You had the one that kind of brought you down, the one that brings you up. So like they'll just meet in the middle and you'll be perfectly fine.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to that. Derek, do you want to get into our expectations about this movie?
I actually wanted to do that like 5 minutes
our
ago.
egg expectations in this movie.
Stop.
We can't do too much egg talk on this.
I love me some scrambled eggs.
We have gone so many crazy places trying to talk about this movie. This movie has nothing to do with pirates, nothing to do with eggs.
Actually, it does have things to do with eggs, Isaac.
Does it?
Yeah, you weren't there. You didn't see the movie.
You watched the deleted scenes without me.
No, I'll explain in a minute. You'll be like, oh my God, Derek, you're right.
I have a feeling I kind of
Yeah,
know where
you
you're going
get
with
it.
that.
You're-
Yeah,
you figured it out. You're smart there.
Expectations. Generally, I was expecting that this one was going to be enjoyable. I didn't know if I couldn't say it was going to be very good, but I thought I would have like a good time watching this one. I thought it'd be funny.
I wrote
Yes,
that I was going to have an 80s good time.
an 80s good time.
Specifically an 80s good time,
Yeah,
right? There's like
which
a
is very different than a 70s good time, different than a 2000 good time. Just 80. That's
What
it.
about the 90s, man?
No, the 90s aren't. We don't talk about the 90s.
Oh, I love the 90s. Okay, calm down, buddy.
My first expectation was incredible stop motion animation because that is one thing I knew. There are these silly little demon dudes that kind of look like ogres or goblins, these just little men.
What do you even call them?
I don't know what to call them. Demons is the best way I can say.
Goobies.
Goobies? Is that what you
I
said?
don't know.
They're
It's like
goobies.
Goonies, but goob.
No, they're goobies now. Incredible stop motion animation from these goobies. There were some bits that you could see in the trailer that looked really fun.
My first expectation is Goonies. Is that you?
Goobies?
Like Goobies? Is that you?
Gooby dooby doo.
Where are you?
My next expectation was an absolute mess of spooky tropes and monsters.
Ooh.
Just after
That's a
watching
really good expectation.
after watching
Sir,
the like
80 episodes in, you're still good at expectations.
Thank you. I'm still
Me,
figuring them
personally,
out.
I'm fucking suck
I'm
at it.
terrified every time I make expectations.
Me too, man.
But in the minute long trailer that we watched, so much was going on throughout it that I was like, this is going to be like kind of a lot, especially since we knew the movie was only an hour and a half long. So we're like, to shove that much into a shorter movie, it's going to have to get pretty wild and weird up in there. What about what's your next expectation?
Fun 80s music
Yeah.
was what I was also expecting.
Okay,
Mostly from
yeah.
the trailer. I was like, oh, this is good synth. Good
Always
stuff.
the synth is really what comes up out of the out of 80s movies all the time. I said more corn than a corn maze. I was really expecting this one to be super
just-
tropey, corny,
what is
just
happening?
cheesiness, campy, but in like a fun way.
Man, that's what?
Is that a good? I can't tell if you like it or
I'm
not.
just jealous. It's like I said fun 80s music, and you're like, ooh, more corn than a corn maze.
More corn than a corn.
God, I need to
No.
step up my game. Freaking John Denver over here.
Yeah,
My next one is crazy story that makes some sense, but it's probably pretty simple.
that's actually that's not terrible. I feel
Don't
like
try to compliment my expectation.
No, you're right though. I feel like there are a lot of movies that like they can overcomplicate a simple thing, but that's kind of good sometimes.
Yeah.
I said this is a weird trope that I've noticed happens in a lot of movies and a lot of horror movies where it's like children smarter than the teens or adults in the movie, right? Where it's like
Yeah.
the either the teenagers or the adult characters are like, you don't know what you're talking about, you're crazy, you had a nightmare or something like that. And the kids are like, no, listen. And then when things actually start rolling and the adults start to see the monster and stuff, the kids are the ones who have the knowledge and kind of save the day, right? So that's what I was expecting in this one.
Because knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power.
Some fun as hell visuals. Is my next one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just that.
I mean, I don't know what else to say. We've talked about the visuals.
The visuals are fun. I think Derek's just really excited to get to our next expectation that we have together. Say it with me, folks. Kid actors. Kid actors.
You got
Kid
some kids
actors.
in the field out
Kid
there.
actors.
They found a hole
actors.
in the ground over
Kid
there.
actors.
Are they digging it up?
actors.
Do they have a
Kid
script?
actors.
Are they looking
Kid
inside?
actors.
Oh no, he tripped.
Actors. Oh.
Dead actors. Dead actors. Dead actors.
He tripped in a hole and he died.
I don't know where to go with that. Sorry, you could have done that one. I felt like you had something better. You wanna do
No,
it
I
again?
had absolutely
Do you wanna
nothing.
do it again?
You're our guy. No, we don't need to take it back.
The last one you did was so good.
The kid died. It's over.
Man, is that the last kid actors? I mean, we got to do a supercut, right?
Yeah,
like we have
absolutely.
so many
A
kid actors.
mega
that-
mix of the kid actors.
and then like a secret special version of the teen actors we did one time.
Yeah. Can we release like an acoustic, like an unplugged album of all the kid actors?
Oh my god, that's so good. Just like a little
Yeah, so they're like finger picking a little guitar.
Kid actors, kid actors, kid actors, kid actors. You got
They
some
go,
kids.
they open
You got
the gate.
some
Do-do-do-do. Kids
Got some
come and their
kids. Why do we
parents
sound like
are
Backstreet
late.
Boys?
Do. Don't know.
And got
It's
some
the
kid
breathiness. We need some
actors,
choreography
kid
together with each
actors.
other. There are kid actors in this movie. Actually, just 2. I actually thought there would be more. There's only 2 in this movie.
When he trips in the hole. Bye, bye, bye.
There were 3 kid actors, and then Derek killed
one.
I feel like that happened the last time you did this too. You like killed someone.
I don't want anyone to die. Can I
No.
just clarify
Yeah.
that?
Let's-
But there's nothing about me that wants people to die.
No.
I actually love people a lot.
Yeah,
I'm
and
very
loves them
genuine.
living.
I don't want anybody to die. That's so silly. That's just it's just a facade.
It's just
man.
one. It's just one
It's
of
a
those things.
character.
It's like an improv when they tell you not to kill a person because that's the peak,
So-
the highest it can go. Right?
FBI. I know you're here. It's all a bit.
I know you're
You can
banging on the
come
door.
Talk to me. I'm very nice.
Hey, it's the FBI. No, this guy sounds kind of sincere. I think we should let him go. Oh, really? Are you sure? He talks a lot about killing kids.
Sincerity always wins.
No, listen, man. Sincerity always wins.
Sincerity
Oh my
is
God,
the
they're
winner.
kissing out there. Can you?
Are the 2 FBI agents kissing or am I kissing?
All of it. I guess. Wait, let me in. Happiness around the world.
Everybody's kissing.
Anyway, sincerely, Derek doesn't want anyone to die.
No,
nor do
please.
I. Nor does anyone on this podcast.
Let's talk about the movie.
Let's talk about the movie.
Suck my nose till my head caves in.
So you don't. You want to say that one more time? Clearer.
No,
into
they'll
the
hear
mic?
it later.
Well, oh my God, there are definitely some. It's a movie from 1987. There's certainly some dated lines and like some old. I don't even know what to say. Like
Very offensive terms.
offensive terms for sure that we will not repeat on this podcast. But also just some weird terms that they use that I'm like, oh yeah, like
I don't know
the
if
phrase
that's
that Derek just
I don't
said.
know if that's a thing anyone ever said. I'm gonna Google
Vot
it.
V
VOT.
VOT.
Very offensive term.
very offensive. I see what you're saying.
What? Very offensive term. Vot.
Oh no, it's the Vot parrot. Get out of it. Go, get.
Vot. The problem with the Vot parrot is he hears the term and then he repeats it.
Vot, you want a cracker?
He just said a really bad slur.
Okay. So we start out the movie. We immediately get the 1980s kids on bikes trope right out of the gate. We see the main character, Glenn, riding home on his bike. He's coming back to an empty house. He opens the door. He's like, Mom, Dad, anybody here? Something really feels off. There's some really good, eerie music to set our scene. Derek was right, like right out the gate.
Yeah, dude.
Loving the music. So he
All
starts.
synth too. Like I feel like this entire track was made with just a synth.
We got to bring back more synth music in movies. I'm really, really digging them.
Bring back more sin music.
Sin music. All music is sin music.
No pirates.
Last episode, we had some church characters that I cannot remember the names of.
All right, I remember.
Hello, we're here from the church. I remember your name was something and my name was Davis.
Gina Davis.
Gina Davis.
I think it was.
And I'm here to tell you, all music is
Hello,
a
I'm
sin.
Gina. You're Davis.
I love. You guys can't see it while you're listening to this, but when we do these characters, it like takes over our bodies. Like Derek is sitting here, like hands crossed, like sitting on his knee on his lap, very proper. Here, we're here to tell you that music is a sin.
Well, maybe we'll make this one into a shart. Little shart.
Into a shart.
I had
Sorry,
a little
what?
child who he sharted. And I told him, I said, now, Billy Bob, that is a sin. You put that in a bag and you burn it in the bag. And he did so. He did so. He put it in a bag and he burned it in the
Now, you
bag.
see that sinner over there, our new neighbor over there, listens to that hard rock music. I want you to take that bag that you just burned and put it on his porch there, okay?
Now, that is not okay. You know, that hard rock, that's where we're going when we go to hell.
That's right.
Because really, only the purest among us get into heaven.
That's right. You listen into that hard rock, you're going to hear a hard knock on the coffin.
Oh, what's that?
As you're descending
What's
into
that?
hell, the
Who's
fiery
that?
depths of hell.
Oh, that's Satan. Who's with him? That's Hitler. And they hang out. They come and pick up every lost soul on their way.
And who's that with him? Well, that's Science Jim. What's he doing over there?
Oh, Science
I
Jim's
told you,
actually
stop hanging out
ferryman
with
bound
them.
to hell. Science Jim on his time off from the podcast.
He's a hard-working man. He's found himself a job.
He did, and we're really proud of him over here. That was holyable.
It was holyable.
I love these characters so much. I could live in this space.
I
my
could stay
entire life.
here forever and talk about how the devil music is a sin, and that is a part of this movie.
just
As a matter
terrible.
of fact, there's a bit of the satanic panic in this movie.
You know, I did watch this movie, and I was covering little Georgie boy's eyes the entire movie because I could not believe. Now listen here.
I was aghast.
I could
Personally,
not believe
I was
that
like
they
a
were playing.
whore in church. You know,
You can't say that anymore. That's
it
actually
comes- it
very
comes-
offensive.
It comes out of me a little bit.
Ooh, Davis, are you okay?
It's fine. I'm just, you know, it's the sin. It's getting to me. I'm all heated
Are
over
you
here.
sinning?
No, I would never sin. No, not me. Not Davis. No, not a
Davis?
sinner.
I saw you had a Creed album in your car when I got in the other day. No,
Derek, will you sing a Creed song for me just because I don't know
I
any?
actually am. It's part of the bit. I just think it's really funny.
Well, you were no. You see, I'll Uno reverse you right here. I saw you take that CD. You were listening to yourself.
Oh no! Well, I just thought God would really like when you take me higher. Get it? Because higher. To
Oh
heaven.
God, we're on fire now.
No, God! I promise. I was just trying to get to your love and embrace.
Why are there two burning nuns in our studio?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Oh, I need to
either.
uncross.
Goodness me. It's
I-
been a minute since a bit has taken over us quite so thoroughly.
Gina Davis, man. I don't even know if
I
that
don't
was their
think that
name.
was the name. I
But
can't remember.
I think Gina Davis is like a real human. I think that is someone's first and last
Gina
name.
Davis was in the original Beetlejuice movie.
Was she?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure we've talked about her before, and I said that I thought she could get it.
Really?
I want to say that was right. Wow, I really got to do better at like remembering what we say on this public podcast that we use.
Oh my God! Yeah, she could. You know what? All right. Yep. You're
Well,
right.
that's that.
Oh, okay.
Done and done.
All right, Gina Davis. Calm
So
down.
let's go back and try to
Oh,
start
she's
this.
she's one of the upstairs.
What are the up? What?
She's one of the ghosts.
In Beetlejuice.
Dude, I had the biggest crush on her as a kid. No joke.
Oh my God! Much love
good
to you,
she's not
Gina
in jail
Davis,
like
yet
the other people
again.
in that movie.
We're back on Gina Davis again. We'll remember the names of those nun characters.
We probably
later.
won't.
We probably won't. But we'll probably keep bringing it back.
But I love them coming back as different names. That's actually pretty funny. And maybe
all
just like
within
a
the
random
Davis-
name.
It's all within the Davis family.
Yeah. Oh,
that's all.
of course. Jim Davis and
So,
James Davis.
oh my God, it's all coming together. It's all connected.
It's all Garfield.
So in this movie, we've got Glenn, main character, coming home. Things seem off, right? He starts to hear these distorted voices coming from somewhere in the house. Then he goes to the backyard. He sees this spooky-looking tree house as night falls and lightning strikes in the background. And he goes up inside of the tree house. He finds this creepy doll that just sang "Papa" over and over again. And then, just like that, and it actually looked pretty terrifying. Then lightning strikes the tree and it explodes. Just the tree from the middle, just like, and just like that. And then it falls over. And then as it falls over, Glenn wakes up from this nightmare. So none of this was even real.
I decided I'm just going to do
Derek's
Foley
just going to
work
do
the whole
Foley
episode.
work now. This is kind of
We're going to try it, and we'll see how annoying it is, and then you can stop it.
In the real world now, Glenn's treehouse actually was taken down. There's this team of construction workers who like knocked it over, and they were cutting it all apart with a chainsaw. It's like that scene from the Simpsons movie where Homer Simpson's like, "I've got a chainsaw." What's funnier is like, will he decide it's annoying first, or will he just get tired of doing it first? All these sound effects.
We'll never know.
So a team of construction workers are dragging the tree remains away, and this big purple geode falls from the bottom of the tree.
Dink.
And nobody
It's an
actually-
egg.
There's. I thought that was
Sorry,
the
I had
egg.
to come back to that.
The tree has an egg. None of the construction workers really seem to notice it. So then Glenn finds this cool geode, calls over his buddy Terry, and they dig deeper into this hole where the tree once was. It's like
check out this egg.
it's smoking and it's ominous. From inside the hole they pull out an even larger geode, an even bigger egg.
Keep going.
Is
Don't
that the
ignore
sound?
me.
Okay.
This is background noise, man.
We find out Glenn has a sister. Her name is Al, which is short for like Alexandria or something like that. She just goes by Al the whole movie. Basically, all you need to know about their relationship is that he likes building like model rockets with her. That's their little bonding time, right? But now she's getting older. She's hanging out with her friends as much. They don't do it as much as they like to. So Glenn and Al's parents are going away for 3 days. It doesn't really say why they're going away.
They're
but
just leaving,
They're
dude.
just leaving, yeah.
They're just out of here.
We meet them for like just a moment. They're like, we can't trust you guys to have the house alone. We're going to call the babysitter. And the Al is like, come on, guys, I'm almost 16. You said I can handle the responsibility. So they eventually agree to let them stay at home alone for 3 days. We find there's just this is worth mentioning just a little bit. We find out Terry's a bit of a bad influence on Glenn because he tells him these stories to scare him. He fills his head with these stories about this story of a construction worker that was building the house that they're living in that was like he died. It was sealed. It was he died and was sealed up in the walls of this house.
The funniest thing about this to me is every time I do something, you're like, oh, I have to stop.
It's so hard to continue. So, as soon as the parents head out, Al decides to throw a party. Teens galore. They're just all of these teenagers having this little 80s party.
There were also some very old people.
Yeah, it was
Like
I would
20
say
and 30-year-olds.
there was a decent amount of the kids there that actually did look like they could be 15, 16 like they were supposed to be. And then there were some that looked like way older than they should have been.
There was a guy who was like balding.
Yeah, Derek, were any of these characters credited at all in the end of the movie?
No, man. Hey, there were a couple characters that looked incredibly familiar.
Yes.
I knew they were in other movies, but they weren't credited anywhere. Not
we'll
even in
never
the
know.
end credits of the movie.
Yeah.
So blame
Yeah,
that
the end
on
credits
someone.
pretty short. So upstairs, Terry is over at the house and he's trying to break into the bigger geode that they pull out of the hole, right? It cracks open with this puff of smoke and this pinkish glow, and the crystals inside must have some kind of power because they glow and shimmer. That effect looked pretty cool. I did like the prop for this. And then the steam coming off and out of the geode creates some like words on this mirror for them to read. Like it's kind of hard to explain. They just had this. I don't even know exactly what it was. It was like this shiny piece of something on a cardboard.
I honestly thought it was an ad-libs page that got like burnt.
It looks. I don't know exactly what
I don't
it
know
was.
what it was, but that's what it looked like to me.
But yeah, they get some like weird hieroglyphics and symbols and words on this page on this mirror, right? So the party comes to a halt and the teens start sharing ghost stories, which is like, I wish more parties did this.
man.
I wish more like group gatherings are like, okay, now let's stop everything we're doing and tell scary stories.
I mean, it's a cool idea.
it's
And
kind of fun.
Sometimes at parties, you're like trying to figure out a way for like everyone to be included in something.
Yeah.
And that's a good way. Like, especially if people who don't want to shut up, like me or you, or like other people that we
Those
hang
real
out with,
chatterboxes, the
just,
professional
will
yappers.
not shut up. So you're like, okay, let them talk. Maybe they get it out
Let
of
them
their
talk.
system.
It's like letting a kid run around, before it's bedtime. Like, wear him out. He'll get it out of his system. He'll sleep better.
What is he doing? He's running through the street. Yeah, he'll turn into a car soon.
My
Anyway,
son
keep going.
turns into a car? What? Derek goes the darndest places sometimes, and I don't think he even knows where he's going.
All children turn into cars at some point.
At a special...
How do you think Lightning McQueen was born? He didn't come out of car.
He just come out of nowhere.
He didn't just appear.
It's
He
not just a
came-
world of talking cars, you moron.
Where did he come from?
How
Wait,
do the cars have babies?
Do they have? Is there like a factory that creates them? Is the factory like
So do they,
sentient?
Are they like a hive, like a beehive where they have one
if
shared mother?
It might be okay.
Okay.
I mean, incest is a big problem then.
Yeah.
But like also, okay, think about it this way. It might be like the xenomorphs, right? There's like a big queen
There's
who's
one
like
big queen,
pumping
exactly.
out cars all day. And it's just like me, 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 me. It's like really annoying. And they're all
Is
just
that
like
a car's first words? It's like beep beep.
sometimes.
Yeah.
But other times they're going and those
And sometimes
ones-
they go auga.
Sometimes they go honk honk. What are other car noises?
Other car sounds. I was just going for like the sound of a jalopy. So anyway, the party comes to a halt. The teens start sharing ghost stories. One girl, this weird girl at the party, claims she knows how to make people levitate.
Oh my
This
God,
is
yeah.
honestly kind of a weird plot point for the movie, but they can't do it with one of themselves, so they bring in one of the kids. They bring in Glenn to try to make him float because he's lighter, obviously, right? And oh shit, it actually works. He floats into the air, but then he starts going way too high. He gets scared and grabs onto a light fixture and tears it out of the wall as he comes crashing down to the floor. And he runs away embarrassed because he cried in front of a bunch of teenagers. And honestly,
Also, he
like
flew. Like a kid shouldn't fly for the first time in front
That's
of a group of
scary, right?
teenagers.
Like Peter Pan is really trying to get these kids, like they're not ready to fly.
I know when I flew for the first time,
Yeah.
it was actually in my parents' bedroom. They were gone, and I was standing in front of the mirror. And I just had to make sure it would work.
You said Bloody Mary 3 times, and then you started
don't
flying.
freaking joke around about that. Don't
So
you
we
joke about
I
I am
found out
not.
today,
I'm a
Derek is scared.
skeptic. I'm
Derek
a
is scared of
skeptic.
hard-boiled eggs and Bloody Mary.
Okay, you don't understand, man. I still to this day, I'm a 30-year-old man, and I can't go in a bathroom with the lights on. You don't understand.
I sincerely have never had the courage to play that game in its entirety. I'm a half skeptic and a half believer, like we mentioned in our Bigfoot episode.
Here's
a big believer,
Big skeptic. I am a skeptic until it comes to actually being happening.
Yes.
And then I'm like, oh no, fuck. Which
Absolutely
is why
not.
on my deathbed I'll probably agree there's a God, because but if there's not, then I'm just gonna end up in the endless void again, and I can't end up in the endless void again, because then if I'm in the endless void
we've
again,
lost
I'm gonna be
Derek.
there for the next century. And if I'm there for the next century, then what's gonna happen to me?
Derek,
why am I guessing?
You're getting too close to that big egg in the sky. So back to the movie, guys. He flies in the sky, and Derek is being comforted by our Garfield plush in the studio. He's gonna be okay. Don't worry about it. So Glenn runs away from the party. He's a little bit embarrassed about it, crying in front of a bunch of teenagers, right? So they all go to bed. In the nighttime, Terry sees a vision of his dead mom as he's going to the bathroom.
So sad.
They're actually like these kids are kind of going through it in this movie.
You really are.
Because there's a scene where Glenn is talking to his father about Terry, and Terry's kind of talking about how, like, I think after the passing of his mom, it really kind of messed him up. Like, there's some hard things in this movie, like these kids are going through that. Like, I really feel for them. Thus far, kid actors are really putting
actually,
in
like,
some good
super nailing
performances,
their
even though there's only
performances, yeah.
the two boys. They're doing really well. So Terry starts seeing a vision of his dead mother, right? He like went to the bathroom in the middle of the night, and then through the doorway downstairs, he sees this like ghostly white light appear, and then there she appears as like an angel calling towards him. Oh, I love you, son. Come back to me. Whatever the trap is, he does fall for it. Meanwhile, in Glenn's room, something is moving under the walls, kind of like if you've seen like The Frighteners or like Nightmare on Elm Street, where you know Freddy's like peeking and it's like the wall is made out of like this tarp material, right? And he's like pushing his face through it. Something kind of like that. Terry's vision of his mother suddenly turns into their dog, Angus, who we haven't mentioned before. Angus is a good boy.
Angus.
Who is now dead. Because, yeah, basically, Terry is holding onto the dog who we thought was his mother. He was holding her in like a loving embrace, and then lets the dog go, falls to the floor. It's dead now. So no more Angus. And Angus will, I have to say, Angus will be okay. I have to say that.
No, please let everyone know.
Because there was
Angus will
there
be
was
okay.
a long period of this movie where we were not thinking Angus was okay.
Arguably the entire movie.
Too much time, honestly. Angus will be okay. So for all of you dog lovers, which should be all of you out there, if you have a soul and a heart that beats in your chest, Angus is going to be okay. The next day, Terry goes home, and then Al, his Glenn's sister, leaves him in the house on his own with like his dog just died, his parents are home alone. He had that weird thing where he floated the previous day. It's kind of sucky that they're just abandoning him, right?
Yeah, it is.
Like I really feel for this poor sad kid. He's just kind of going through it, and nobody really wants to listen to him. It's really sad.
It's genuinely depressing as hell.
So the hole in the backyard, I guess they had filled it in again at one point, and I didn't see. Did you see them fill it in?
No,
I don't remember that
no,
actually
it didn't
happening.
actually happen. It just they speak something, and then it like gets covered. And
So Glenn's dad had charged him with like, hey, you're grounded because you like were playing with rockets. You burned a hole in the roof, which will come back later. Fill in that hole. So they did fill it in. Terry comes back later this next day, and they find the hole has been dug up again. Like it dug itself back up. So like something weird is going on here. The hole's dug itself back up. You were floating in the sky. I saw my dead mom. Like something weird is going on. So Terry brings Glenn over to his house and shows him this one like hard rock album he has that has similarities to their situation. Inside of, for some reason, he opens up this vinyl record, right? And in the middle of it, there's this dark book. It's basically the Necronomicon, just in the middle of this vinyl sleeve.
And this is why I'll never allow little Billy Bob to watch.
And
listen
music
to
is a
that
sin.
music.
Absolutely not.
Music is evil, and if they are using this propaganda from Satan himself,
Yes, word.
I do not
Word
want
to the
that
good Lord.
I do not want that in my children's face
Preach.
or ears.
I can't join you here, Derek, because it's going to be another 10 minutes of
Or
us talking
eyes.
like this.
Don't forget about the eyes.
So they dig into this record, which basically has what is essentially like the pamphlet version of the Necronomicon in it. And this record pamphlet thing tells them basically a ritual for how to open the gate. And the ritual has almost everything that has happened to them. It had the levitation, has a big hole in the ground. What it is missing is a sacrifice that is supposed to be put into said hole. So they're like, oh, the sacrifice doesn't have to be human. It can be an animal. So they're like, okay, what that is that was Angus, the dog. That's a sacrifice. But they didn't put it in the hole, right? So they're okay. Except unless Al.
Meanwhile,
Al, the sister, has this new, not even boyfriend, just this guy she's kind of interested in. She's like, hey, will you take my dog and go take him to like a shelter? He goes to a shelter, shelter's closed. So what does he do instead? He goes to their backyard. He's like, oh, perfect. A hole in the ground.
A hole in the
Boop,
ground.
Job done. So now the sacrificial dog has been buried in the hole,
You know something
which completes the ritual here.
I want to talk about real quick about
Yeah,
this movie.
yeah.
Is I had to include that it's about this movie. I'm not just doing a tangent.
Yes.
The men in this movie weren't all gross. They were just kind of there. They were kind
Yeah.
of annoying, but there wasn't like that gross, like teenage boy.
I guess you're right.
energy
Yeah,
that
'cause, like-
normally is very prevalent in these kind of movies, right?
They were certainly obnoxious, but they were not like over the top. I didn't
Yeah.
hate any of them. They just
No,
kind
me
of
neither.
were annoying, like boys usually are.
There
So
wasn't that like, oh, boys will be boys bullshit.
No,
it was all
exactly.
just like these were just guys,
and
in
especially
school.
from the 80s, you know, when that was
Yeah,
a bigger
that's why
thing.
I'm really surprised.
Yeah, honestly, like now that you mentioned that, I'm kind of shocked by that. So Terry and Glenn come back over to the big hole in the ground, right, where they found the geode eggs, right? And they read some passage over the hole in order to close it, right? Because basically, Terry found out that if you play that record backwards, it tells you how to like reverse the ritual and close the hole and stop the demons from coming in, right? He's pretty on top of this stuff. He's like, no, this is exactly what's happening. He becomes suddenly an expert on all this demonology and stuff that's going on, right? So they read this passage over the hole in order to close it, thinking it works. And it actually does. The hole is completely sealed over. So it worked in some degree, right?
Yeah.
So Al does come back home, and it's kind of sweet because she abandoned Glenn to go like to a beach day with her friends, right?
Yeah.
She comes home and Glenn's like, "Why are you here? I thought you were going to the beach." She's like, "Oh, I was going to, but I'm all out of money." And she opens this bag and she bought a model rocket for them to play with. I'm like, it's just how kind of her all of a sudden.
Were just talking.
We were just talking. Derek had ice in his mouth.
We were just talking crap on him, and then on her,
On her.
and then yeah, she just showed back up and was
Yeah.
all of a sudden a nice big sister.
It is very weird, like the shift that she takes where she's like, she starts off being a normal sister, whatever. Then like brother really needs her and she's like, no, sorry, I'm going to hang out with this cute boy and my friends. And so it's like, okay, maybe she's kind of a shitty sister. Then all of a sudden she's a good sister again. And
Yeah.
she like, they play with rockets, they blow it up in the sky. It's just like a cute little
Yeah.
moment for them.
Nice
like,
little montage.
Which is kind of nice. So at night, we finally start seeing some demon activity. We're decent ways into this
Yeah,
movie
we're
already.
probably about a little over halfway through the movie, and we were like, we haven't seen anything from the
No.
trailer. Like,
Which-
not even the little creature guy.
Which means, like, with how batshit crazy that trailer was, I'm like, things are about to pop off in a major
Yeah,
way
man.
if we're going to have enough time to do all of the stuff in the trailer that we've seen. And here it starts. So when the hole opened, there were a bunch of moths that appeared out of it. They actually have a bug zapper outside that keeps like flickering and going off because so many moths are appearing and flying straight into it. So Glenn is awake in the nighttime. He sees all of these moths covering his window. Then they just shatter this window in towards him, and these moths are flying all over the place. So he runs to tell his sister. She comes in to find all this broken glass, and Terry should be sleeping in the bed next to him. So they go to wake him up. And then Terry walks in behind them. He's like, hey, what's going on in here? What do they find under the sheets of the bed? It is the corpse of Angus the dog. So he's been brought inside. It was pretty. I wish we didn't have to see that. It wasn't that great. But then something really spooky happens. These large, nasty hands come out from underneath the bed and try to pull Al underneath the bed. It's honestly pretty spooky, and mostly spooky because it is incredibly relatable to like a childhood fear, right? Like I feel like when I was a kid, even in my adult life, I still worry a little bit about these big hands coming up through underneath my bed and dragging me underneath into whatever horrible world is down underneath there. But like I feel like that makes it scarier because it is a little bit relatable to pretty much everybody.
absolutely, this whole scene was like very creepy.
Yeah, it's just like that thing where you're like, you don't want to sleep with like one leg or one foot hanging off of the bed because some monster's going to come get it,
Yeah,
right? Like
absolutely.
outside of the covers. So that happens. Then it's It's Glenn and Terry and then Al and all of her friends that she had over for a sleepover. I think there are only 2 other girls that are with her. They all run outside. Then they bump into Glenn's parents. Glenn's father grabs him, holds him by the neck up in the air and says, "You've been bad," or something like that. Right?
Freaking creepy.
And then in order to escape, this is a pretty wild effect that I forgot about until right now.
Yeah, me too.
Glenn then digs his hands into his father's face, like to try to push him away. And they seep into the soft flesh of his face, causing it to melt and then fall off in this horrible manner. Meanwhile, the mom right behind him starts cackling like an evil witch, and it was kind of spooky.
terrifying.
And then Dad's head just like falls off. So then everyone runs back inside to safety, and then things kind of calm down for a moment. Everything's okay. So they begin to wander outside into the backyard. Suddenly, there are several little demons. These little, like the ghouls or the goobies, like we were talking.
I
about.
love them so much.
I love the goobies. They're these little ogre, like flesh-colored demons that are completely naked, bald. They don't have any genitalia or anything like that. Don't worry about their nakedness. This is a PG-13 movie.
Thank you. I was getting worried.
Of course, yes. No nudity in this movie.
Thank you.
Absolutely not. So stop motion little dudes that are unfortunately hilarious. They're not very scary. Every time they were running around all over the screen, they just made me cackle.
They were very
so
funny.
Very funny. But they chase all of the kids back into the house, right? So the phone rings and Al goes to answer it. Again, they hear the dad's voice saying, "You've been bad." And then the phone catches fire and then starts to melt onto the wall.
It was a really cool effect.
There are just some fun effects going on in this movie. So now they're like, "Oh, we need help from that dark book. We left it in the basement." So they run down to the basement, try to get the book that they've been reading, but it catches fire in their hands. And actually, I kind of like that because I feel like most demons or supernatural entities and things could probably just burn a book in people's hands if it was against them, right? Be like, "Oh, you need that to help us?" Fire, gone. So now what do? Oh, Bible.
Oh my goodness! Are you telling me that the good book is in this?
Absolutely, the great book.
Oh my
the
goodness.
goodest of all the books.
I love that so much. What passage did they happen to read? I think I have it up in front of me.
Oh, do you
actually.
have it right in front of you? What's funny about this is they immediately are like, "Okay, the dark book didn't work. What can we use?" And literally Glenn just goes, "The Bible." He just shouts that out. I think he just says Bible, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
And so they decide to turn to the Bible for help. What's funny about it is the fact that like the 2 girls who were Al's friends, they're like, "Oh, we went to Sunday school. We know which passage to turn to." In like 3 seconds, they turn to a page. They're like, "Here, this is the one you should use for getting rid of the demon hole in your backyard. We're here to help you out." So what passage is
wild.
this?
All right. So you asked me to look this up for you, and so I did because I definitely wasn't created just to be a puppet of yours.
Of course.
Because I'm just a puppet of the Lord and Savior.
Aren't we all?
Anyway, so the first passage that they read is from Psalms 59, 1 and through 17. It says, "Deliver me from my enemies. Oh my God! Defend and protect me from those who rise up against me. Deliver me from and lift me above those who work for evil and save me from bloodthirsty men."
Easy peasy.
Just like that.
Nothing
You know,
terrible.
I never really, every time I've read Psalms, which is once a week.
Once a day for me personally, but I guess
You
I'm
read
closer
Psalms
to God
once
than
a
you.
week?
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness.
I have it tattooed to the inside of my eyelids. I'm closing my eyes. I'm reading Psalms
It's
right now.
very long.
It's pretty dark. I actually don't think I'm reading anything right now. Now that I think about it, this was a terrible idea.
Why'd you do it in black ink? Should have used glow in the dark ink. Maybe even you could have used some iridium.
Well, they didn't have any glow in the dark ink in
You coulda
prison
put-
where I got the tattoos.
Why were you in prison?
Serving my Lord too well.
Larceny.
Larceny. Tax evasion.
That makes sense. 'Cause
They go to read
taxes are of the devil.
They go to read the good book at the hole, and it's glowing with this purple light. There's moans coming from inside of it. The hole itself is convulsing. It's a fun effect. As Terry's the one who's just kind of taking charge of this whole thing. As Terry reads from the good book, the hole begins to open wider, shooting out even more smoke, and then it kind of reverses that. At first, I'm like, it seems to be working because now all of the smoke is getting pulled back into the hole, and so does Terry. Terry gets sucked down into this hellhole.
Well,
Down
not
he
before
goes.
he reads one more passage.
Bye, bye, bye.
That was very good. Good callback.
That's,
I was
that's-
reading it.
That's
I
what
was
we call a
listening.
call back.
So he was also reading from Psalms 22, which says,
Yes.
"Thou shalt bury the evil thing brought to this earth no more. God is the light. Pray God will pray for." Oh, this is beautiful. "Pray God will pray for thee, for God is my high tower." Ooh, oh, you did have that one
This
memorized.
is gorgeous.
didn't you?
I had that one.
You
That
definitely
one-
weren't looking over my shoulder at all.
Absolutely
I
not.
think you definitely
I
had
know,
that
I know
one
that one
memorized.
by heart. But yeah, down he goes into the hole. In this hole, at the very bottom of it, he gets attacked by more of those little demons from earlier. There are dozens of them. And they just start like popping up behind him, like biting him on the shoulder. Oh my God.
Hey.
Hold on. Sorry, you're right. Backtrack. He falls into the hole. One appears in front of him, and he just goes, hey. Nothing else. And he even responds. He goes, hi. It's incredible to see this little dude. Ah, God, we will attach for the postings for this episode. We will use pictures of these goobies because they are wonderful. I love them so much. But so they start to attack him. Basically, they start to bite on him. He like tries to stomp on one with his foot, and then he tries to attempt to pull himself out of the hole with the help of Glenn and Al from the top. Right, they're like diving inside of there, like holding onto each other, trying to pull him up and out of this hellhole. Right, the demons don't really stop him from getting out. He kind of just is able to pull himself out. It was here that Derek mentioned not much is happening.
Nah, man.
It's just like a lot of wind and loud music and things that make it seem chaotic, but like more than is Batman playing in the
It
background?
was the only music I can think of.
It's just taking a really long time to get him up and out of this hole. So they fortunately they do get him up. They attempt to read more from the Bible before they're like, screw this. They just throw
now
the Bible
hold on.
into the hole.
Now, hold on. I heard that they threw the Bible, but real quick, this part was very glorious because they actually played my favorite passage.
Oh, yeah?
They said
What's-
my favorite passage.
what's
so
this
they
then?
turned to the middle of the Bible to read the first passage in the Bible.
Yeah.
Which goes, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And then they scream and throw the Bible into the ground. Because honestly,
not bad. Kind of a good
honestly,
moment.
thinking that one being created all of this.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
And
terrifying.
And it was kind of a big explosion, a big bang, if you will.
Ooh, now I don't believe in the Big Bang.
What do you mean? It's a
Gina,
big...
Gina Davis the third does not believe in the
Gina
Big Bang.
Davis the Fourth I'm Gina Davis the Fourth believes in the Big Bang because
Well,
I
you're
saw it.
just a Scientologist then.
I saw it in this movie. Oh God! They throw the Bible into the hole and it explodes in this awesome, crazy fashion. It wasn't like that impressive. It was just kind of funny that they basically used the Bible as a bomb,
Yeah.
and that's all. But it looks.
I
yeah.
agree with that.
Yes.
Because anytime someone's sitting, I hit them with my Bible too.
Yes, and it is
And
glorious.
the word of God protrudes into your eyeballs.
Sorry, the word of God protrudes into your eyeballs. Is that what it was?
I got a little too into the sacrificial wine.
Oh, you did not, Gina Davis the Third.
Oopsie.
Well, I'm going to continue on with this movie now. It looks like throwing the Bible into the hole did do the job. The hole is patched up. All seems well. The three of them celebrate for a moment before going back inside to an eerily quiet house. So they're like, is everything okay? Are we sure? They find Al's friends hiding in a closet with like candles. They're like making crosses with some forks or something, and then garlic around their necks like they're fighting vampires or something. It was just mostly kind of a ridiculous moment. So they find them. They're fine. The front door was left open, and it's kind of scary. What's happening here?
You forgot about the conversation that Terry has with Al
Oh,
when
my
they open
God.
up the door.
It's
because
terrible.
Terry and Al, like, for some reason, hate each other.
It's not even Al. It's Al's friend.
Oh, that's right, that's
'Cause he
right,
keeps
that's right,
calling
that's
her
right.
a clown. There have been many altercations between Glenn and the sister's friend, who I don't know whose name she is. She's the clown now. Yeah. They exchange some blows, to say the least.
I'll be Terry. You be the girl.
yeah.
Real
Okay.
quick.
Sure.
Ready?
Sure.
Oh, I'll be Terry.
Yeah. You're Terry.
What'd you do to your face?
None of your beeswax, Four Eyes.
I think it's a definite improvement.
Hey, eat your feet, dwarf.
Suck my nose till your head caves in.
That's crazy. Till
Till
my
my
head
head
caves
frick-
in.
fricked it
What?
up.
Do you want to take another?
Yeah. Suck my nose till my head caves in.
What kind of batshit crazy thing is that to say to a person? Is that even an insult? In a sense, that kills you, though.
Yeah.
Suck
You
my
die from
nose
that.
till my head caves in. And what did they get out of that?
Maybe it's like the kind of death that's like, I would rather you suck my brain out
Yeah.
than deal with your
Then have to
conversation.
deal with your presence here. It was just
I think he's secretly in love with her and wants her to suck on his nose.
that's got to be what it is. It's
It's
a double
deplorable.
entendre.
It's disgusting.
It's deplorable. It's a sin, is what it is.
Yeah. It's a nose entendre.
It is a sin. But so the front door was left open out. So like first there's like, oh no, there's something in the house. Then from a side closet out pop the girl's boyfriends out of this closet. And it was kind of a very unnecessary, kind of stupid reason to bring them back into the story, especially since Al is like, hey, not right now, guys. We just went through a lot of shit. You two girls were even here for that. get out of my house.
Yeah, seriously.
So she sends all of her friends away. So now it is just Glenn, Terry, and Al in this house. Later on, Glenn and Terry are about to sleep. They're just hanging out when suddenly a dead man falls out of the wall. Just a complete corpse of a man comes out of the drywall.
Yeah,
just like the story that Terry was talking about earlier, or that Glenn said Terry told him. And Terry even admits, I made that story up. It was bullshit. I was just trying to scare you. He's just this nasty, creepy corpse that begins to attack Terry and brings him into the wall. The wall itself is also glowing, kind of like the hole was. And what does Glenn do this whole time while Terry's being attacked? He does exactly that, what Derek's doing right now, sitting there staring at him. Because he just sits there, lets his friend get attacked, then at the very...
It's freaking ridiculous.
It's so stupid. At the very, very last moment, he's like, oh, I should probably go run and try to rescue him. And then the wall seals itself up in front of him.
He doesn't even like scream.
No!
He doesn't say anything. He's just like, oh, no, oh, my friend.
No, my friend... No. Oh, and then at the last moment before he's already too far gone, it's like, no, wait, no, Terry, my friend.
That's ridiculous.
But guys, Terry's gone. He's just gone. So he loses, I guess. What we haven't mentioned thus far is in order for the complete ritual to be finished right now, the demons need to get 2 human sacrifices. So that's 1. They got 1 checked off the box here. So Glenn goes to get Al's help and finds blood writings on the wall. So something is not right. He gets into Al's room, and then that same zombie smashes out of Al's mirror and starts to like follow them and try to attack them. This is one of my favorite moments in the whole movie. Al takes her boombox, throws it at his face, it hits him, and he's kind of like stupefied for a second, falls face first onto the floor. As soon as he makes contact with the floor, he dissolves into a bunch of those little demons.
Yeah, man.
So they just kind of roll out from his body and just kind of scurry about. It is a great effect.
It's
it is
such
so
a
funny.
good shot.
It is one of the things that really made me want to watch this movie. That was one of the effects I had seen. I was like, oh, this is ridiculous. I'm so here for this.
Wild.
So in order to fight off these demons, Glenn goes to get his dad's gun, but he finds it guarded by a zombified Terry who then bites him, and he's just kind of stuck there with Terry like bitten onto his hand, right? So Al comes in to save the day, and she stabs zombie Terry in the eyeball with a Barbie shoe. She literally just takes like the pointy end of the Barbie's foot and just stabs it right into his eye. Honestly, kind of gnarly. Pretty
Brutal as hell.
Pretty messed up, very brutal. So they hide in this closet where they found the gun, and then the zombie attacks them again. He appears right behind them and successfully takes Al away. Again, like Glenn is not good at saving his friends and his sister here. So the ritual requires 2 human sacrifices, and it just got its second. So it's like demons win, I guess, right?
Yes, demons win.
So defeated, Glenn tries to find a solution. He decides he needs to use the Thunderbolt. And we haven't mentioned this at all.
Nah, dude.
He keeps mentioning this one. All I can assume about it is it's a big rocket that he got for his sister's birthday that he really wanted to put together with her.
It's just a big model rocket.
It's just a gigantic model rocket. And it seems like what had happened was like she got older, was hanging out with her teen friends more often. They just never got around to it. She never even opened the present, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, that's what's going to save the day. The Thunderbolt's going to save us. He's mentioned it a couple times in this movie, actually.
We knew it was coming back. That's how often it was
Chekhov's
mentioned.
Thunderbolt for sure. Yeah. So then as he decides this, the house begins to crumble all around Glenn as he tries to run for this rocket, right? There's this giant pit that opens up under the floorboards of like the main room in the house. The staircases are collapsing as he's running upstairs to get this rocket. It's kind of cool. It's actually like really good effects, and
For sure.
it's certainly impressive.
I mean, like the ground falls out, and the way that the like pit looks
and the floorboards fall down into it.
I've seen movies that have come out in the last few years that have not looked that good.
No,
and this movie came out in '87.
Really holds up. And then around this giant pit in the house, dozens of those little demons climb up out of it, and they surround themselves, like they put themselves all around the edge of the hole and just start cheering and dancing. And then a big demon appears from the center. In that
Big Gooby.
Big Gooby.
Big Gooby.
My big fat demon
Gooby.
My big fat Gooby wedding. I don't know.
That's cute.
That's nothing.
No, that's something.
So in that vinyl record that Terry had that had the little like fake like Necronomicon in it, we did see this rendition, this drawing of this big demon that had like 6 arms all around it, and so that is what appears to us now, and honestly looks pretty good. I really like it. So it's this giant, tall, imposing thing. It actually comes all the way up to the 2nd floor banister where it can see Glenn right in front of him, and Glenn is trying to sneak away. He does have the Thunderbolt in his arms. He's slowly trying to sneak away. Then the demon stops him, grabs him up by one hand, and then it gently pats him on the head.
Nope.
It doesn't hurt him.
Nope.
It doesn't even look that angry. It just kind of like good boy, you know? And then it just like, whoop, just disappears back into the hole. It's like,
Again, kind of a really impressive effect for 87.
yes, absolutely.
Like, I was really impressed with what they pulled off here.
Yeah, especially since it like picks him up and like holds him by one arm, and it didn't
Yeah.
look incredibly like cheesy and corny. It looked pretty good, actually. Then an even weirder thing, after the demon leaves, Glenn looks at the palm of his hand and he sees an eyeball in the middle of it. So basically, he just got like a blessing from a demon, I guess.
Yeah.
Is that like, thanks for the sacrifices, kid? Have a blessing, you know, like
a third eye.
I have a third eye. I don't know what I would do with a third eye on the palm of my hand. I really don't know if that would do me any services.
I don't want to see the things the palm of my hand.
No, my hand has gone places I wouldn't go with a gun.
No, yeah. But it would be useful if you're in that situation where you're like, you know, you're hiking on a medieval trail.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's like a hole in a rock face and you have to like stick your hand in there and
Yeah,
get
yeah.
it like bit or something.
Yeah.
It would be helpful for that.
It would be super helpful. I
Because
feel
you
like,
could like see what's in there.
I feel like people would just take advantage of that. Like, Isaac, I can't see over the top of this thing. Will you just reach up there? Yeah, hold on. I'll just hold my hand up there. Yeah, there's nothing up there. It's a bunch of dust. Sorry.
But also like if your nails ever got too long and you closed your hand into a fist,
You would stab right into it, right? I feel like you would hit it a lot.
You'd hit it a lot.
You'd have to get like
You'd have to
some kind of
retrain
like
your whole life.
guard around the edges of it to like stop
Mad
it
Eye
from-
Moody's eye thing.
Yeah,
that
like a
he
glass
has.
cover for. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So you just have like this glass cover around your little eye hand. This is going nowhere, especially since this eyeball kind of goes nowhere. Because Glenn now goes to the window in his bedroom. He looks out into the backyard. There's this big tornado rising up into the sky from the
No big
first
deal.
hole out in the backyard,
biggie.
right? And he's just kind of angry. He's mad at the world. He's like, "It should have been me. Come back and take me. You know, I deserve to die. You know." And he gets angry. Takes a piece of the shattered window from his bedroom and just stabs into the eye with this
pretty
broken
dope.
glass piece. Pretty brutal. And that's all we get of the eyeball in his hand. It never
it was a
comes.
cool effect.
Yeah, it was cool, but like nothing ever comes of it. So now the whole house is in a bit of like a poltergeist situation. There's things flying around and falling down all over the place. Glenn carefully makes his way downstairs to the pit in the middle of the house and then starts to put together the Thunderbolt. The Thunderbolt is finally making its appearance after being talked about for so long. As he puts together the Thunderbolt, the big demon shows up again from outside of the hole. I guess probably not too happy that he's trying to shoot a rocket into this big
Also,
hole,
he
right?
destroyed his favor. He gave him a freaking eyeball. and
Exactly,
he's
right?
just
He's like, what happened to that dope ass eyeball I gave you, kid?
That was your sister's
I
eyeball.
thought we were friends. We were doing
It's
pretty
me,
cool.
Barney Fife. What happened to the eyeball? Jim! Well,
I gave it. I brought my friends over to see your eyeball. I put it in your hand.
now we're starting to sound like the guy from Wonderful Life. Well, you like the moon, Mary?
Oh my god!
Throw an eyeball up there and pull it down for you.
Beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
That was just a cowboy, though.
That was just a cowboy. So Big Demon shows up again, and then Glenn successfully manages to launch the Thunderbolt. It launches straight up and into the middle of the demon's chest, and there's this fun, like, it just kind of envelops over the Thunderbolt. It doesn't make contact, it just goes straight up and inside of it. Kind of like it just ate it. And then it explodes and just starts to light it ablaze from the inside. It's actually a really fun effect to see this thing, like, blow up and electrify
was
from the
really
inside
cool.
and start to die. However, this is the funniest shot in the entire goddamn
replayed
movie.
it.
We replayed it. It was so funny. As it explodes, Glenn is going towards the front door, and it explodes. That impact pushes him outside of the door, and he just goes flying.
Yeah, but like up and down, like he flips.
like literal
like
head over
100
heels
flips.
over and over and over again, toppling again. It was the funny, and like the velocity at which he was flying should have killed him.
Oh, he should not.
But it
have
didn't.
No, but he was fine.
He was
just
fine.
laying
He was
on the
okay.
ground.
But God, it was such a funny moment to see him just go, whoa, flying straight towards the camera. So Glenn is okay. He's fine. Looks back on the house and it shines with this brilliant light, with these fireworks going up in this gorgeous display.
Shine.
And then the dark clouds dissipate, and we see the beautiful glowing light of dawn. It's gorgeous. It's a wonderful day in the morning. Back inside the house, all appears calm, and maybe he won. And what's that from around the corner? Angus! Angus lives. We are woof woof woof. We are here for Angus. Angus is okay. He wasn't for a little bit, but he's all right. Oh, and also Al and Terry are also okay too.
Yep.
But I'm mostly here for Angus. I'm
yeah.
happy
Yeah,
that
you-
Angus
you
survived.
honestly just move on.
Absolutely.
Angus is good.
So everyone lived, I guess. All the sacrifices were just put back, no problem. So the gang just kind of sits out on the front porch, resting after such a wild adventure in front of their ruined house. Like, I don't know how they're ever going to explain that to the parrots, but that's pretty much the end
and
of the movie.
then nothing.
And then nothing. We really have kind of come to expect that of the poorly reviewed horror movies where like there's some kind of twist thing at the
Especially
end.
from the 80s.
Yes, exactly. Where like the demon's claw comes back up out of the hole or
Rawhead
something
Rex.
pops up in front of the camera. Nothing. They sincerely just just end it, which is kind of funny to me. Now I want to know what they do for the sequel if they didn't leave it off in that way. But that's the end of the movie. Shall we discuss?
That's the gate.
That's the gate from 1987.
Not to be confused with The Fence or The Door.
Or The Late.
No.
Or
The Late.
I got nothing.
Like you're late for work.
Yeah, exactly. The Late. That's it.
Only sinners are late for work, and you're a sinner apparently.
So, expectations here. My first one was incredible stop motion animation, and that was certainly a sight to behold, especially with the bigger demon that was all still animation. But I was also impressed at the different forms they used to make the demons come to life, because it was not just small dudes they used still animation for. There were some that were like little, like almost action figures that were puppeteered. There were also some scenes, like Derek mentioned, with the what's his name? The special effects guy, Force Perspective, an actual dude in a physical suit that was running around that they shrunk down and or did the Force Perspective kind of thing. So it was actually kind of impressive all the different ways that they used. So not just stop motion animation. And I think that's what made them look so good, so cool.
I agree.
Yeah.
Goonies, is that you? Absolutely. It was like Evil Dead for kids and Goonies for adults.
Goobies.
It was like a good mixture of the two.
Yeah.
It was honestly pretty fun.
I loved it. An absolute mess of spooky tropes and monsters was another one of mine, and really not as messy as I was expecting. The movie took a long while to get to the demon chaos, and I think that's what really made it feel rushed and messy, because it was incredibly backloaded with all of this stuff that had happened in such a short amount of time. But yeah, so not as messy as I thought. There actually wasn't as much as I thought there was going to be in it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Fun 80s music. Oh, yeah, so fun the whole time. It was a lot of synth stuff. The only thing I didn't like about it was so obviously like synth trumpets half the time. But then
that's
all of a
true.
sudden real trumpets would come in, and I was like, oh, okay, that's...
Kind of weird, right? I said more corn than a corn maze, and I was expecting way more corniness out of this one, but there were actually some pretty compelling performances in here that I was on board for. But the 80s phrases were certainly corny and dated for sure.
You know, one performance that stood out to me, even though he was in the movie for like 5 minutes, was the dad. The dad actually gave like a really good performance, like when he was talking to his son.
He
and stuff.
sincerely was there for 2 scenes total.
But
I
he
think.
stood out to me.
He just delivered a good performance.
Yeah, it was great.
Kind of a show stealer.
It's a crazy story that makes some sense, but it's probably pretty simple. Yeah, I mean, it was just pretty simple, and it didn't really need to be anything more than it was. Like if you strip it down, kid finds the hole in his backyard, summons a demon, puts the demon back in the hole. Right? That's basically
Easy
the
peasy.
whole story.
Yeah.
And maybe it's coming off of just watching Beetlejuice. That
Fair.
like too
many
plot lines.
subplots.
But that one like had no. This movie like had no subplots.
No subplots. Just the one streamlined plot.
Dug it.
I dug it.
Like
I dug it. Like a hole
in my backyard.
Like all the holes in the backyard.
There's like 80 of them.
I said another expectation was kids smarter than the teens or adults trope, and Glenn and Terry were definitely a lot smarter than your average bear child. Smarter than your average child bear. But Al was also, smarter than your average bear, but they're children, so they're child bears. They're cubs, smarter than your average cub. He's just giving me this look of disappointment that I can't. That will haunt me forever. Al was also there with them for the most part, though the kids did lead the charge for sure. It wasn't exactly what I had expected. Al had this weird change of heart halfway through the movie, and then was like cool and on board with the kids for the rest of the movie. So I was here for it. And you're next. What's your next?
Some fun as hell visual effects.
I lost you for a second.
Yeah, sorry, I had to get reprogrammed. Oh yeah, so fun. One thing we didn't mention about the special effects.
Yeah.
I don't know if Count Trivia saw this, but when the eyeball is in his hand, did you read about how they did that? So it's actually the special effects eye. The guy who did the special effects.
Yeah.
He took his eye and superimposed it over an image of his hand.
Weird.
So it's not. So if you look at it, the eyeball is moving.
Yeah.
Like because it is actually his
real eye
over his hand. He did that all handcrafted himself.
It's just so sad because like I have seen literally a shot used with like putting an eyeball where it doesn't belong in a movie released last year, and it did not look nearly as good as that one did.
No, because he used it very sparingly too. Like you could only actually see it like 3 times.
No, exactly. There are very few shots of it.
When you did see it, it looked really good. Probably because he probably put a lot of work into just those 3 times it was there.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. I just love that it was I
his
want to go
own
back and
eye.
look at it and probably see an old man's hand and an eyeball that
Yes.
does not belong to this little boy.
Yeah, I
but
know that-
I didn't notice that while you were watching.
No, which is kind of funny because I know I didn't put this in the trivia here, but there is a shot where like Glenn is falling on the crumbling staircase. Apparently, there's a shot where it's like a woman's legs, like trying to find purchase on the.
I actually
on the
did notice that. I called it out. I said that.
Yeah.
Oh, look, his stunt double's gonna fall.
His stunt double's gonna fall. They were a bit longer than like a
Yes.
kid's legs.
That was
right?
a fully grown adult.
Yeah. But you do what you got to do sometimes. Sometimes you use an old man's hand and eyeball to show.
Use an old man's ball.
And then our last expectation, just the kid actors. Honestly, my hats are off to the two kid actors in this movie. Stephen Dorff and Louis Tripp, like really, or Louis, I don't know, really nailed their performances. I liked both of them. I did not find either of them annoying. I think they did a really good job here, you know? So like kudos to the two kid actors who are now very much adult actors at this point. But I thought they did a really good performance in here. What did you think about the kid actors?
Dude, I really, really liked all of the actors in this movie,
Yeah.
and that includes Terry and Glenn.
100%.
They delivered, man.
did a good
Like,
job.
especially Glenn. He did go on to do some other things. I should
Yeah.
look at what he did, but yeah, he was in what was it?
I know he was
Blade?
in Blade. He was
Yeah,
like a
in Blade.
vampire in that
Yeah, he was
one.
that's just cool. You know, it's good to see. We rarely see in these old movies actors go on to actually
Yes.
do things, but a few actors from this movie did. So.
Totally. Let's cover our surprises for this one. As I mentioned earlier, I loved that the little demons, the goobies, were not just stop motion, but also guys in suits with a forced perspective and also a little bit of puppetry. All of this made for some really impressive looking little minions that I just love. And they made me laugh. They're funny. I was surprised. The performances really impressed me. Pretty early on, I actually felt for these characters and I was rooting for them, like, which is not common in these 80s campy horror movies, right? Like pretty much everyone in the movie is kind of just like, you know, bait for the monster that is going to die. And you don't really mind if they do, but all of these characters I really enjoyed. I was surprised that all of the effects in the movie were very impressive, honestly holding up way better than most modern movies. I liked the eyeball in the hand thing. I liked all the little goobies running around. I liked the melting face of the dad. That was such a really, really cool shot there.
Oh, that was so sick.
Very spooky. Even the hands coming up
Are
out
we
of the
to
bed
believe
from
that his
underneath.
parents did actually die there? Because they never actually came back.
Yeah, we don't see them. We assume that must have been some trick, but maybe that was really the parents dying. Who knows? We'll never. Well, I guess we got to watch The Gate 2 now. Gosh. And then my last surprise was just that it had a long ramp up. Like it definitely took a long time before actual crazy demon shit started happening. But it was a surprisingly good time. Like I really enjoyed myself in this one.
The
what
crazy
about you?
fun effects, man. Like some of these held up and are better than modern day effects. We've been talking about it, but
Totally.
like that was a real big surprise for me. The decent kid acting, it was pretty fun. Like everybody just did a good job in this movie, and it didn't feel like we mentioned that there were a bunch of people at that party that didn't get credited.
Yeah.
But that was the only scene that there were like an abundance of characters in this movie. The core 5 actors did a really, really good job. Well,
Totally.
really like 3.
Just the 3, right?
Yeah, just
like
the 3.
Terry, Glenn, and Al. All
Those
3
two
of them.
girls were also there, and
Yeah, the friends were there for a second.
but they're barely there. So.
Nah.
The use of the Bible, just a big facepalm on that one.
Wow.
Like just picking random passages.
It's very
That's
funny.
So silly. That is like a story
Yeah.
element, but also like it as a concept at all was.
But I
was
do
really
enjoy
funny to
the
me.
fact that they did ask the question, what do we read? Because
I like that
most
too.
movies don't beg that question. They're like, we're just going to open the Bible and read now. It's like, there was a moment there where like, what do we even do with, I don't know what to read from this.
Like I was thinking about it, and if I were in the situation where I needed to read a random passage from the Bible, like I would have no idea where to turn. Of
course not.
And anyone out there who's read the Bible, you know what it's like. It's just stories about people. It's like, what am I going to read? So it did make sense that they went to somewhere like Psalms, which is like, poems and stuff. So
And I like the fact that they had a reason for that too. The two friends were like, oh, we went to Sunday school. We're familiar with the Bible enough. Like, is that realistic? No. And it's super corny, but at least they had some reason that it was as easy to them as it was.
Well, and I did like the addition of him reading the first chapter of Genesis.
Yeah.
Like the literal opening of the Bible. I thought that was funny because it's like, okay, this is actually a joke.
Yes.
That's not working. Let's throw the Bible in.
this is funny now.
That's actually like a kind of oversight joke that was just like, it was work. It
no,
worked.
super good.
And then no over-sexualized bullshit.
Love
I was
that.
really, really impressed with this
Love
movie.
that.
Like for the 80s specifically, man, no boobs, no
Nope.
sex, no even conversation about it. It was just a movie.
Yeah.
And I liked that. I really appreciated
it. It had
that.
just enough of like the 80s stuff in it.
Yeah.
Should we discuss our verdicts for this one?
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun,
It's
dun.
verdict time.
For
It's
me,
a
I'm
verdict
gonna say
time.
this counts for me as a
Isaac Verdict.
this is gonna count as a that was horrible, but I'm gonna say like certified 80s-able, like really,
Nice.
really good like 80s horror movie specifically. This movie was a wild romp filled with fun demonology, impressive effects, and hilarious little demon goobies. It certainly took a while to get to all that fun, but it had a lot of heart in it, which I was not expecting. Like that is something I didn't really touch on. Just like I like kind of felt for these characters. Like
Me too.
the ending was weirdly heartfelt and happy. I was like, wow, I feel so hopeful for the future
Yeah,
all
me
of a
too,
sudden
man.
after they beat this big bad demon, right?
Agreed.
But like everything in it made for such a fun time that really had the heart of the 80s in it without being too much 80s. And like you mentioned, a lot of that stuff in the 80s that we typically don't really enjoy, right? So I mean, if my tree hills fell down and in the remaining hole I found a VHS copy of this movie, I would certainly watch it again. So I got 6 demon thumbs up.
Nice. That was horrible for me. The Gate was a fantastic time.
Yeah.
I laughed, I yelled, I cheered. That's all I ever really want out of a movie. The effects were fun and outdid some of today's graphics. The acting was all pretty good and the story had some twists and turns. Honestly, not much to say about it. It was kind of cheesy at times, but I think the critics were wrong about this one. Go ahead and jump into The Gate and have yourself a great time. 4 eyeball hands up.
Very, very good. You guys, you left me. Derek, you left me in a hole. You told me we were digging for treasure. And I thought that I could use the money because I'm a little down on my luck. But you left me in the hole, Derek. What have you
sweetheart.
been?
Now, sweetheart, I need to have a conversation with you.
Let's have a conversation right now about
How
leaving me in
old-
holes
how old
and when you
are
were going to get me.
No, now count.
Yes, that's me.
This is me, Gina, and I need to have a conversation about
Are
it.
you Gina Davis the 4th or the 3rd?
I'm 8.
8?
I've heard
I'm not familiar with 8.
I've heard that you're scared of my Lord and Savior.
Terrified, yes, of course.
I
It'd kill
hear
me.
that you do not like the cross.
Oh, absolutely. No.
I hear that it makes you pretty cross.
Absolutely. Yes, no, please. Is she going to use the cross on me right now?
I may.
No, don't, please. No. Okay. Hey, take your trivia. I'm leaving now. Guy, woo.
Man, I can't believe you two just you hang out with vampires. What else you hang out with? Satan worshippers?
Yeah, people who date eldritch beings, ghosts that mix themselves with other monstrosities.
I just cannot be a part of this anymore.
Fly
I am
men that
quitting the
hate
podcast.
flies.
Goodbye.
You're Gina Davis the 8th.
Man, we need to oil that door.
That's okay. At least we still have Gina Davis 9 through 100. That'll
Yeah,
still
you're right.
stay
What
on
happened
the
to
pod.
what happened to 1 through 7?
They died, I guess. You were 8. Failed
I was 8?
experiments. Yeah, you said, jeez.
I got eaten.
So the trivia for this week. Let's start with this. These small demonic minions are played by actors in rubber suits and were shot in forced perspective,
Love
kind of
that.
like what you mentioned, which is just so funny to me to see those little dudes running around. And just when he walks in, hey. That was so good to me. Terry is kind of this cool kid who's got this denim vest on the whole time. The logo on the back of that vest says Killer Dwarfs, which actually exists. It's a heavy metal band from Toronto, Ontario area who were known for their offbeat sense of humor. So it's an actual factual band that I kind of want to check out. It sounds kind of cool. This is actor Stephen Dorff's debut film role, which honestly, really props to him. This is his first, his debut film role.
Pretty
and he gave a
freaking
really
good, man.
performance in it. Honestly, no wonder he kind of went on
was Glenn.
to do some more stuff. That was Glenn in the movie, yeah. Writer Michael Napkin, or Nankin, based the script off specific things from his childhood. For example, he had a best friend named Terry. He didn't have a hole in his backyard that had demons in it, but he did have a friend named Terry.
Might have.
This was interesting to me. There were plans to remake this movie in 2009 by Alex Winter, himself as an iconic star from 1980s film like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and The Lost Boys. The reboot has been stuck in development hell ever since, though. So we may never actually get around to doing this remake of this one. But honestly, I'd watch it if it came back
too.
around. And then Louis Tripp, who played Terry in this movie, he actually
Louis.
reprised his role in a very small way in 2020 for a music video called Sacrifice by Australian musician Kid Crusher, which it's a pretty
name.
intense song. He's in the first 20 seconds of the video. He's in this sacrificial like ceremonial cultist hood and he's staring at the face of a monster or something like that. But it was kind of neat for him to reprise his role, but like it wasn't in the same way. It was just the same actor.
It was just an actor
doing
being in a music
demonic
video.
stuff, I guess. But that's all. That's our time here for the Gate from 1987. No pirates, no eggs, unfortunately. But that's that.
Unless-
It was a good time. I actually liked it more than I thought I was going to.
Yeah, me too. And The Gate 2 is sitting at a 27% with only a critic audience rating.
Yes.
You may check that one out in the future.
Next week, do we have something fun in the works? We got another movie coming up.
Yeah, so
Or
next week. Next week we have a guest coming on.
We have a special guest coming on.
Special
Our
guest
very
coming
good
on.
friend Spencer.
Our good friend Spencer Ford. He's a writer here in our general area. He's written a few musicals. He's writing some screenplays.
Written a bunch of stuff. some
Honestly,
great
really,
stuff.
really,
We've
really
gotten to
talented
take part
guy.
of some of his like read-throughs for some of his scripts to see
Yep.
if we can get them on their feet and see how
Yeah,
they
we're-
run. And it's a good time. And so he's certainly well versed in scripts and stuff and all that kind of that
we
jazz.
are actually in his what is it called?
A-
Horror musical.
his original horror musical
It's
called
called
Possessive!
Possessive.
Exclamation mark. Possessive, the musical.
Yeah, it's on Spotify. You can actually
find
check it out.
You can listen to the two of us singing about demonic possession.
Yeah, it's really, really good stuff. Actually, that like normally when you're like my friend wrote a musical, you don't think it's that good, and then this one's actually really good. So
Sincerely,
super
and like,
super proud
Spencer,
of it.
I know you're listening to this for sure. When I first heard like local man wrote a musical, I was like,
Oh, yeah.
okay, how good could this possibly be? Surprisingly good,
Yeah,
really good stuff.
We did not know what we were getting into when we auditioned to be in that.
So yeah, so
super happy about it.
in that vein, we're like, okay, we know him as a man who like met us through like writing this musical that we got to be a part of. We're into horror stuff. What better thing to do than to watch a musical themed horror movie that I don't
dude.
actually know a ton about, but it's
Me
called
neither.
Stage
Stage
Fright.
Fright.
Is what we're going to be watching
It's
with
got
our good friend
Meatloaf in it.
Spencer Ford. What?
It's got Meatloaf in it.
It's got Meatloaf in it. I didn't even know.
The food and the singer.
It's got both of them in it. But yes, wonderful Meatloaf is in this movie Stage Fright from 2014, sitting at a 38% on Rotten Tomatoes. And there were a couple different synopses for this movie. I just thought this was the funniest one. It just says, a snobby musical theater camp is terrorized by a bloodthirsty killer who hates musical theater. And that's like us against the rest of the world. Is me and Derek here in our theater high horse.
What about Garfield?
What about Garfield? Do you want to hear about Garfield? High horse?
Garfield?
Absolutely, yes. Before we send you out on your way into the rest of your day or your night, whenever you're listening to this, it's time to get into our Garfield horror scope that we give for you every other week here. Derek is perusing it right now. I will describe to you what is happening in this Garfield comic strip. Garfield got a big old tub of popcorn, sits on this love seat, and he's looking for the remote. And he's like, okay, TV starts, it's on. The TV channels start changing over and over again. He's like, why are the channels changing? He hears a thump, thump, thump from out of screen. What's that? Oh, John is scratching Odie. He's kicking his foot onto the remote over and over and over again. So, Derek, what do you want to be this week in the
I'm actually going to give two. I'm going to be Garfield and the TV.
You're gonna be Garfield and the TV, okay? Then I'm gonna be the situation of like Odie clicking the remote over and over again. That's
Okay.
me. So what's going on with Garfield and the TV?
So Garfield's sitting on the TV, and the channels
On
keep
the
changing.
TV?
I mean, sitting on the couch,
Yeah.
and then the TV channels keep changing, right? So in life, what you're doing may change sporadically. You may not always know the answer. You may not always find the answer, but it's something you have to deal with. And Garfield, honestly, he looks shocked, but he just deals with it.
Yeah.
He just deals with the changes. And us as the TV in our daily lives, things change very quickly.
Yeah.
But we just have to let it happen.
It's true.
It's kind of the same story coming from two different sides of the cake.
Really?
And it's just one
Sure.
of those things that you have to just deal with and learn
And
to
Garfield
live
kind
your
of
life.
does.
Learn to live your life with those sporadic changes.
Roll with the punches, roll with the things that come your way for sure. For me, as the remote to this situation here, the remote is thinking, ow, 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 and it hurts. He's in pain.
Yeah,
And,
thump, thump, thump,
sometimes in your life, you're going to feel and go through several moments of pain, sometimes like a lot of different painful things in a small burst of time. However, it leads to something, like his pain here by being stepped on by Odie constantly over and over again. It's changing the channel, right? It's like, it's bringing different content to Garfield over here. It is affecting things. There is more to it, like there's stuff beyond the pain here. And so like, think on that, go further into your life and don't just stop,
This actually can get kind of deep.
Yeah.
Because John.
It all connects. John's a part of this too.
John is petting Odie.
Yes.
So John is receiving joy
Yes.
by petting Odie.
Yes.
He is creating dopamine in his brain right
And
now,
Odie's
right?
receiving joy, of course.
And
This makes him
Odie-
happy.
And Odie's joy that he's receiving from John
Yes.
is in turn creating pain for the
For the
remote.
remote.
Which is creating a change for the TV, which is
Garfield.
creating confusion and change for Garfield.
God, it's a Rube Goldberg machine of emotions.
Then Garfield is pressing deeper into the couch, which is creating emotion. And the couch is creating this like styrofoam crush. It is changing the fiber of the couch forever. The popcorn is not getting eaten because Garfield is distracted.
It is now
And the
fulfilling its
popcorn is-
purpose. It has one goal in
Yes.
life, and that's to be eaten.
And now the popcorn is stale and will not be eaten and probably will be thrown away, which will end up at the garbage. And then a stray animal will find that popcorn and have sustenance and live for another day.
Wow,
Because
okay.
John decided in that moment, I'm going to pet my fucking dog. Butterfly effect. Boom, microphone.
So going into the next couple of weeks, think about the fact that your actions have effects in many ways. Who would have thought John scratching his dog would have led to that raccoon getting to like care for its child for another day, you know? Getting to feed its raccoon babies. Who would have known? Who would have guessed? You
It's
know?
like the best rant I've ever yelled in my life.
That was incredible. I was sitting here in awe just watching you go off there. Guys, thank you for listening as always. Thank you for joining us here. If you've enjoyed our content here, please, if you feel so inclined, go follow us on our social medias here. We are on Instagram at @that_was_horrible, Twitter at TWH Podcast, Facebook at That Was Horrible Podcast, YouTube at That Was Horrible, and we're also on TikTok at That Was Horrible. Thank you as always for being your spooky selves, for
you.
joining us and letting us be our nonsensical selves while we tell you about these poorly rated horror movies. It is a great time. We love doing it. We love having you here. Thanks as always. So go out into the day. Garfield be with
Garfield
you.
be with you.
Stay spooky.
Goodbye.